Hello, everyone, and welcome to the AML. I am Rue, joined by OzYJ, and we are getting ready for a very important series today. We have an elimination match in the 4th versus 5th. The wildcard slots are up for grab, and for us today we have D, Big and Little versus Team Apex Silver. How do you feel about these two coming into a very important matchup for both these teams?
Well, D, Big and Little, last time they were on stream, unfortunately getting 2-0'd by the Alpacas, but who can really get away from the might of such a godly team name? But in general, like, just a rough showing, I think, from Desperado in general. But I do think they can kind of pull it together, although there were some whispers potentially about some roster issues coming into today. So we'll see if that plays a part in what happens as well. But Team Apex Silver, we actually haven't seen a single time yet. So this will be their first stream of the split, which I'm excited for. Anytime I get to cast like a new team on the stream, I'm usually really excited for it because, you know, they could be hiding something. You know, maybe they're like waiting for their stream debut to like pull something out really crazy. You never know. Like, so I'm excited to see what we're going to get into, like, draft-wise for both these teams. I think also looking realistically, most of the teams here in AML have been basically playing very similar styles in terms. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Ezreal Karma, even though Karma got nerfed, Ashe Seraphine, like the boring stuff in the bot lane coming out. Of course, Azir got buffed a bit, so he might make a return to priority, although we really haven't seen a lot of Azir in AML, so we'll see if that's something that is opted into. But I think things like the Ahri has been doing really well. You know, you look at her stats, she's got a 60% win rate with a pretty decent sample size. I think she's around 30 games played or so. So definitely not a bad stat line across, of course, just throughout the entire split. Most of those games, though, have been coming ever since Ahri got buffed. I believe it was her W that ended up getting buffed and her ult CD went down, I think. So,
yeah. Lots of things definitely to take into consideration. We'll get into the draft, of course, in just a second. Before we do that, we may as well have a look at the rosters for today for you all. Let's have a look, first of all, at Desperado. Big and Little, they come into this as a wildcard at 3-3. 7 wins in those games, 9 losses, so a small downside in terms of their overall individual games, but in terms of best of threes, relatively even, as they have Swarm, Vessel of Ruin, Use Plan B, Loose Cannon, and Starlight Illura in the support. They are about the same rank across the board, ranging from like 140 up to 500 LP, very even across the board. No real indication of where they're going to be playing through, but Vessel of Ruin, their main guy in the jungle, he plays a whole lot of horse. Way too many games of Hecarim for me to even think about in what has been, 3 months? He's already got 300 games. That's a little bit scary from where I'm sat.
Hey, only 100 games per month, you know? Like, that's nothing. Come on. Yeah. It's not that bad, okay? Anyways, yeah, Vessel, of course, pretty well-known Hecarim player here in AML. And M600, of course, we were actually having a conversation off-broadcast about Desperado. A lot of these names kind of just bounce around sometimes, and that kind of is just true of, you know, majority competitive leagues as well. You see a lot of bounce around between players and people trying to find that star roster for them to get their championship win. But we will move on to Team Apex Silver here. We got Jost in the top lane, Sourcewalker in the jungle, Goat BM in the mid lane, Phantasma in the bot lane, and Helper in the support role. Now, again, they're making their stream debut here today, as Rue mentioned. This is do or die. None of the standings matter. Literally, all you have to do is win today, and you will be the wild card going through to the round of 16, starting next week. So, a lot riding on today. I think for the matchup we're going to be looking at, last week we looked at mid lane, and that actually paid off big time for me. I think this week we're going to take a look at the jungle matchup between Sourcewalker and Vessel of Ruin. As, again, well, we all know jungle to be one of the most impactful roles, if not the most impactful role in the game. Specifically also applies in competitive play. I think you can make an argument for maybe supports depending on the meta. But for the most part, you can definitely argue that jungle will be the role that, is the most impactful. So we'll take a look there, see what happens. I want to say, for me, I tend to, lean into Source Walker's champion pool a little bit more than Vessel of Ruins, but that doesn't necessarily mean Vessel of Ruin is bad or anything. I think if I were like a coach for either of these teams, I would prefer Source Walker's pool, but that is simply just a personal thing and has literally no bearing on anything, because as it turns out, you can still win regardless of what you pick. But we'll see. It's going to be played here today as we get our draft started up.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, something to consider with jungle, if that's what we're going to focus on, is not to rag on anyone, but like the rank disparity, because it's the type of thing that at least will play into their mentalities potentially as we enter this one. We talked about before, Vessel of Ruin up around 500 LP in Masters right now. Source Walker, I mean, he's playing in AML and in ADL, right? There's a reason he's able to play in multiple different leagues. He's not got that far on the solo duo ladder at the very least, but still a very competent jungle who's managed to drag his team up to 3-3. Same overall score in best of threes, but a couple of game losses rather mitigated for Apex Silver as we are looking to get into draft here. A small little delay on draft by the looks of things. Ban's still waiting, so I'm gonna toss out a bit of a guessing game for us right now. If there's one champion that you expect to be banned in this series the most, what do you think it's going to be? And give me a why as well.
Well, it's Mbessa. It's literally not even a surprise. It's just Mbessa, unless it's just first picked. 76% presence champion, and she's, still got a 66% win rate. So, sorry, I think it actually dropped to 60%. Regardless, doesn't matter. Champion A is winning a whole bunch, and is incredibly high priority. It's the #1 champion of priority, so I think we are going to see Mbessa no matter what in this draft today. If there's another champion to not cheat, maybe a Varus or something. I think Varus is the second highest prio champion, so I guess that's a little cheating, but regardless, I think either one of them would be okay to ban permanently for the series if you're looking at one ban. And of course, the respect for Vessel of Ruin with the Hecarim ban, I think also will play a part today.
Well, that's more where my head was leaning, I'll be honest. I'm looking at these two teams, and it looks like Apex are focusing on a lot more OTPs than anything else right now. Banning away the Galio, which is used plan B second most played, but his most played is a little bit more niche. The Kassadin, not seen as often in that kind of 5v5 scenario, especially on the blue side. You want to take that typically as a counter pick if you've already seen a lot of AP on the other side of things and some side lanes that you can dominate later on. And that's going to be let through so far by Big and Little. As you'd expect, they want to try and get that on the blue side if possible. Swarm more than happy to take that for his side. Apex, they got a decision to make right now, but I'd say my hidden pick for most banned in the series, let through in game 1 so far by Big and Little, as there is the Mbessa ban. I want to point out quickly, both bot and mid for Apex really love playing Smolder. So I'm interested to see let that through as we head into this first rotation here. The Inara are going to get taken away instantly.
Well, Yunara's in a great spot, pairs well with, we are an Enchanter meta. Hey, there's Karma, speaking of. Yunara Lulu has been kind of the most common pairing with the Yunara, and the Ezreal Karma has been the most popular Karma duo so far. Usually, if it's me personally, I think picking something different than Ezreal Karma here would have been a bit better, because the thing is, in my mind, and from what I watch, because I'm co-streaming NACL, so I'm also watching NACL games, where I'm watching professional play, etc. I really would have preferred saving this Ezreal Karma for Ashe Seraphine. Now, granted, Big and Little might just opt to ban the Ashe the entire game, and then you're the entire series, and then you're gambling on that fact. But let's say next game, because 9 times out of 10, Ashe Seraphine is being picked on red side because they're picked together. I don't know. We'll see how it does, because I think it's hard to punish the Yunara Lulu as Ezreal Karma. So we'll see what happens with that. But speaking of the Skarner has been making his return to the top lane, because they kind of maybe overbuffed him just a little bit. 10% max health damage off of his Q. They buffed it up from 6% to 10%. making his trading pattern just absolutely brutal in top lane. And of course, you still get the Skarner package, which literally everyone loves. It's so good and competitive. You get so much CC out of it.
Absolutely. He is quite annoying for nearly everyone to go up against. Is Apex going to take a flex on 3 here? Something I think I'd have done differently if I was drafting for Apex. I'd have held the Ezreal for 3 personally. I think you can just take a Xin Zhao into the Yunara, you guarantee yourself that Enchanter with the Xin Zhao. I think that's fine for them to do that, but instead choosing to take the Ezreal on 2. They take a Mundo on 3, as we say, flexible between the top and the jungle. You can try and avoid the Skarner as much as possible. I think the max health kind of ruins what Mundo's looking for, but of course the healing does tend to mitigate that, as we're focusing a lot more on mid bans headed into this second rotation, because, I mean, Skarner, while you say obviously rising in the top lane, still can be played in the jungle, still has been played in that kind of similar to Sejuani role of just the, I'm going to CC the hell out of you as a tank jungler. So mid, the heavy focus here for the second rotation of bans.
Apex Silver, I think, might be setting themselves up for maybe a Mel here. We've seen a lot of Mel priority as well coming through during NACL. And usually the tell is the Victor ban, because that's one of the few champions that really does well into Mel in majority cases. So we'll see what they opt for here on 4. Again, it doesn't have to be Mel with the Victor ban. But usually that is a telltale sign that they're at least thinking about the Mel.
I mean, Goat's pool is huge, right?
Yeah, it is. It is huge.
He can play basically anything.
Yeah. We'll be the way. All right.
Yeah, the guy plays so much. I mean, Quay's definitely a champ that can enjoy themselves in a comp like this. So you have already the Mundo to play behind, the Karma to provide a bunch of shields. Someone else tanky in top jungle, and Quay's going to be having a whale of a time, especially against someone immobile like the Lulu, like the Inara, and potentially not as much fun into the Kassadin. We brought this up before. Use plan B, happy to go into his one trick here, because they show AP mid early. Happy to go punishing, as together Udyr as well, double flexible, I'd say, between top jungle, though one would expect that Udyr to be towards the jungle with Skarner in the place that he is.
I'm a little shocked here by Team Apex opting for Hwei and banning Galio, because Hwei, I know he's a mage, and Galio is like the anti-mage, but if there's going to be a mage that does really well into Galio, statistically it's Hwei. Galio's one of Galio's worst mage matchups is Hwei overall, because you can kind of just outspace all of Galio the entire lane. So I'm very shocked as them picking Hwei here and banning away Galio. If that was the plan, they could have just decided, utilizing the big champion pool, like, hey, I want to play it this game, might as well, right? But I think in the Kassadin, it could prove to be maybe a bit of a red herring here, because the Kassadin in the side lane against this Hwei is going to be absolutely unleashed. Like, the Hwei can do nothing other than hope to God he can clear the wave. But if he's like left alone in like a long lane where he's like missing a tower or something and has to go clear the wave, like the Kassadin will just chase him down. But we get some nice tankiness here for Team Apex with that Scion. But speaking of difficulties of getting through tanks, that's Team Apex. They really do not have a great tank killer here. Ezreal, historically, not a great AD carry at getting through frontline. You're going to have to go through, which I'm going to assume here that this Udyr is going to be playing like the Leandry's version. Be going Tiger and just saying, you know what, balls to the wall, might as well. But I think Skarner still going to be an issue for the Ezreal. Hwei is going to have to do a lot of work here in terms of team fights, in my opinion, in terms of their tank killing potential.
Yeah, as we're not confirmed on our positions here. I personally expect on this blue side here for top jungle to be swapped around. I think Skarner top lane makes a lot of sense, especially into the tankiness that is present up there for him to feast upon. That Scion looking incredibly tasty for, we'd imagine, Swarm, but I mean Udyr as well. Surprisingly annoying for tanks to deal with from time to time. I do worry for this Apex Silver side, right? They're looking to play front to back. They have Ezreal Karma in the bot lane to guarantee that early push. You have a Hwei to try and get through, but what do you do about this Kassadin? Is there anything you can do against this Kassadin? Because I mean, who's stopping him? Is the Mundo going to stop him from walking through? is the Scion going to stop him from just teleporting behind him? How do you stop him?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just fantastic analysis by you in general. Like, this Kassadin, I feel like, is completely unanswered. The only answer in my mind is plays EW. You just pre-place it down and hope he just walks into it, right? Like, that is like the one thing that I think they have going
if
for
we're
them.
at this level of cope already, then I think it might be cooked.
Yes. But if that does happen, right? If that is able to happen, you can chain that with a Karma Root, and then that is a lot of time for that Kassadin to just be sitting still, which can be pretty brutal here. And of course, Kassadin's early game is pretty bad, so they're going to have to weather the storm in this mid game. Because you look across the board for Team Apex Silver, they start spiking pretty hard in the mid game here, whereas Kassadin still needs time. The Yunara, if she is going Fiend Hunter Bolts, won't have necessarily the worst time in the mid game, but she's definitely weaker than Ezreal once Ezreal gets his 2 items. So Team Apex Silver here, I think in general, actually having a better mid game, and I think that's something they're going to have to try and just super press the gas pedal to accelerate any amount of lead they can get, because if it goes later than some kind of mid game, it will be Skarner top. For you guys. So these are the correct roles here on the screen. If that happens, I think they're not in a bad spot, but Kassadin, Yunara are just a ticking time bomb for big and little that Team Apex are going to have to answer.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be very difficult, especially you pointed out before as well, right? The Ezreal, great around that 2-item spike, fine at 3, but into Ascana, into what is likely to be quite a tanky Udyr after the first item, the Andries. I'm looking through his builds right now. A lot of the time it's Dead Man's Plate, it's Spirit Visage, it's Jack Shows, it's Randuin's, it's all these annoying things that just means he's incredibly tanky. I don't see an easy way through. It's going to be very difficult for Apex to try and play this front to back, but they don't really have another choice, right? They have Scion Mundo, and then they have an Enchanter support with an AD in a mid. Like, you're not playing this as a dive. You're not trying to make all too many picks on side lanes. You could look for a couple here and there, but it's not an easy thing to do with your comp. You're looking for big team fights, but when they come and cook in, I feel like Desperado, they should have the lion's share of those team fights when it comes to it. We'll just have to see how the micro is performed, right? This is kind of like the macro idea, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the players still click good, right?
Yeah, that's always true. Well, how about the viewers go and click good here for Aegis? We'd like to thank our sponsor, Zen Market, today. Zen Market is your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items for over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box and can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check the panel below the stream or click the link in chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you'll get 3,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Thank you again to Zen Market. For us, we're going to hit a quick little break before we load up onto the Rift. Don't go anywhere, because maybe the series might be going the distance here. We'll see.
Welcome everyone to the Rift for game number 1 of our seeding week. Today, of course, a very important best of 3 for both these two teams. It is win and get in, lose, and unfortunately your AML dreams end already. A brutal time in the season for both these teams, one of which, as I say, will be going home. The other one will be happy to be moving forwards as we are getting into this game 1 here. Apex on our red side, and unfortunately their mid laner has decided to put stream mode on. So they're going to be called Hui for this game. Don't blame me. That's just what I'm able to see. Everyone else, thankfully, has chosen not to put stream mode on, so we'll be able to see their names and we'll be able to call out when they make some amazing plays we hope to see from these guys in AML as we get some aggressive trading early on in bot lane here. The Ezreal Karma looking to bully early.
Yeah, already heal burned out here. I mean, so I feel like it's just a grave misunderstanding of what you need to do as Yunara Lulu. You literally don't even want to fight for like level 1 because A, you don't have the wave damage, and you just don't have the damage in general. Like Karma will completely outdamage both of you here by yourself. So they just need to chill and let the wave get shoved into them. Try not to lose as much. Them going for that trade, though, puts them into a comfortable position on the second wave and third wave now as it's coming in, to where, you know, they kind of are losing a bit more as another Q tags up there in the bot lane. As now they're going to be in a really uncomfortable spot under tower against Ezreal Karma with a very large wave that they're going to have to try and get as much of, which is going to be difficult.
Yeah, incredibly difficult as well, because Vessel of Ruin is pathing towards the top side. Not what we've typically seen from junglers recently. A lot more focus on pathing down to bot lane, as is happening here for Sourcewalker on that incredibly fast Mundo clear that we have somewhat gotten used to seeing. Vessel of Ruin headed from bot to top, and that means that these guys have to be playing a lot safer than they are right now. Even with that tempo heal, Loose Cannon still down at half HP, and now it looks like straight a Starlight Law as well, starting to get poked out by this Ezreal. Not everything hitting, of course. These guys are only human, but it is still a very dominant lane to start things off here. As Hellboy goes another Mantra Q, even tanks a turret shot just to deal even more damage, and another Q as well. Everything hitting right now. These two guys putting on a clinic in the bot lane, and it feels like that is definitely the main point of pressure early on as Loose Cannon down at 200.
Yeah, I mean, again, use plan B should be okay. I know health bar looks very scary here, but
Casted things.
Well, it is still really scary, okay? Will get pushed off the wave, but it's actually really negative here. But look, potential dive being set up or thought about will be called away from now.
Okay, back into mid we go though, as Vessel of Ruin using the empowered form of the E to get that CC Unstoppable, walk straight through the route there from the Hui. As I started to say two words at the same time, just ends up forcing into a pretty rough trade there for the Hui, as they're looking to take that TP relatively soon. Use plan B, TPing back to the lane, as you're saying, not having the best of times early on, but with the Dark Seal, not even bothering with the Doran's Ring, and straight into now a tier of the Goddess. Expect to see, come 20 minutes time, this Caston really starts to turn up. Until then, should be pretty easy going for this Hui to start, as he means to go on, as he already has started pretty well, up about 2 waves worth of CS right now.
Yeah, I mean, also with the way even we saw in the initial trade in the mid lane, like it literally was basically him standing melee range and still winning the fight. So it literally is so hard for Caston early. Once level 6 is hit here, I know of course we're looking towards like level 11, you know, 20 minutes in. Once he hits level 6, it actually can be quite scary for the Hui. Little trading action in the bot lane here, but the Ezreal has a much better back. Of course, Yunara's interaction with Cole is still incredibly good. Gives her much more HP than you would see normally out of majority of AD carries. So we'll see if she can sustain herself in this lane a little bit better. With the refillables as well, has a biscuit. So the pressure should be gone at bot lane at this point, hopefully here, but if they keep tanking all of the abilities like we saw in the first initial minutes of this game, could be more CS lost here.
Yeah, they're going to try and hold on. Of course, the push still very much in the Ezreal Karma's favor, but as I say, the worst is now in the rearview mirror, right? It's now just getting pushed in every now and again. The plates looks like a second one will be falling pretty early on in this lane. just 5 minutes into the game so far, and already 2 plates in favor of this Ezreal Palmer, building that nice gold lead, as you're saying. And they also have the push to guarantee themselves the first trade, with Source Walker is more than happy to take for his side. Loose Cannon gets absolutely destroyed on that trade. The Polymorph back does really nothing there from straight Allura, as another Mantra Q connects as well. Loose Cannon down about 400, very low on mana, looking for a second base pretty soon into this one, but he's also baiting pretty effectively for a potential gank, which is coming down here right now from the Vessel of Ruin. Has his passive ready, but is not going to use it this time around. Instead, just going to get covered off with the fact that Source Walker is still in the area, and he's also level 6, ready to pop maximum dosage at a moment's notice. The Tether's going to connect here from Helper, and the Mundo's still here, but in insta-kill onto Helper is the first blood. Gets deleted over the wall by Loose Cannon. Even the flash doesn't help him out. Both heals exchange, but the kill goes BNL's favor. They take first blood in a lane that was incredibly losing.
Yeah, I mean, just a bit of a questionable decision by Helper. I feel like maybe Helper thought Sourcewalker was going to be able to do way more there, but not really. Like, your team is so low CC, which is also an issue of itself that, you know, we kind of alluded to with the Caston issue in the draft, but you can't really do anything in terms of like a counter gank besides slows. And when they're basically already under their tower, like, unless you're diving, it's just not happening. So Helper just takes basically all of his HP from, you know, 80% down to 1 HP, heals himself, and then flashes super late. And the last Yunara auto attack costs him his life. Will actually be the Blade of the Ruin King this game, or the Yunara, which we'll get a lot of value, is all I gotta say. This is gonna be a huge purchase.
If ever there was a reason to go Blade of the Ruin King Yunara, it's the game such as this, right? Sion, Mundo on the enemy team, a bunch of health bars to be trying to chomp through makes a whole lot of sense in a game such as this, especially when the enemy ADC has a much tougher time of getting through tanks. You expect Loose Cannon to still go into the crit, but no reason to go Kraken Slayer when you can take that percentage max HP, and hopefully for your sake delete this Mundo, as we're getting an Impale in the top side as well into this E. Has managed to deal a bit of damage to Jaws. He's going to get some percentage damage, take a grass snap, but Jaws still hanging on with about 200, and he can either take a base hit with TP or he could look for a good death. Looks like he's going to choose the former. Only has a cult to his name, so should have quite a lot coming into his inventory at this base time, as both bot lanes now hitting level 6, apart from actually Starlight Elora, the only one not there just yet, and it means that the Ezreal Palmer once more has to push in this lane.
Also, the added benefit of building Blade of the Ruin King is Vamp Step. You're playing into a poke lane, and you're kind of struggling to survive, well, you get even more survivability thanks to the lifesteal. So, honestly, definitely not a bad shout this game. Will miss cannon, though, as potential dive.
Massive trade. Yeah, massive trade put onto him already there. Lulu just ticking up to level 6 and already having to use it, as Loose Cannon also going to pop his own ultimate. Hiding now under the tower, getting taken on a walk here by Helper, flashing forward to try and get the kill back, but the dive is absolutely perfect. Oh, so close to hanging on. The turret shot hitting him instead of Source Walker. He was closer than the Mundo when he started dealing damage at the same time. Ends up tanking that turret shot, using flash and barrier and still dying. Not the ideal outcome, but at the same time, it was an execute. He doesn't care all too much. It's just the fact he now doesn't have the summoners.
Yeah, I mean, the Yunara is going to lose so much here, right? Like, this is a wave and a half that he's losing here. And decent flash attempt, right? But 4-man bot, what can you do? You're 2v4, you take a pretty rough trade ahead of that as well, which forces out the wild growth early, which could have been maybe a deciding factor if Starlight Allura had maybe held on to it and not panicked about the True Shot barrage, because Loose Cannon also utilized barrier for that, so could have been maybe a bit better synergy. They could have came up with at least 1 kill there, but again, really brutal here for the bot lane, as the CS lead for this Ezreal is about 30.
And he's eating forwards. Okay, Phantasma, even without the summoners, playing it very aggressive, and Loose Cannon not going to let him get away with that all too easily. Sends an Arc of Ruin his way, but there's a TP coming from behind, and it's the Hui coming flying in. Already going to send out everything from below, and he is just all sorts of dead. Ezra going to steal away with the True Shot Barrage. Going to make Phantasma a little bit happier, as it is both ultimates used, of course. Very aggressive trade there, but it comes through to fruition, and use plan B also TPing to try and cover it off a little bit too late, and it doesn't stop the kill that went against him anyway.
Look at this vision gap on bot side. I mean, this ward right here, which, you know, guarantees loose cannon's death. But they have so much vision on bot side because of the pushing lanes, right? Like, both pushing mid and bot lane has enabled them to just have full vision control around the entirety of the bot half of the map. And it feels like maybe Big and Little aren't necessarily respecting that. It's now twice that Hui's come to bot lane, this time with a teleport play that gets loose cannon killed, and well,
Hold
on top side.
On top side. That might be a kill angle here. Shield from the Sion going to keep him healthy for the time being. Swarm actually running into the turret instead. There is no unstoppable onslaught for Jorst. He doesn't have the mana to pop it anyway. Still kill threat here for the Skarner, but Swarm, small little misplay there. Has a rock to throw, can't quite land it. While we're talking about all that, though, of course, the bot side is really where the damage is being dealt to the BNL side. Their scaling is great. Their front to back is going to be legendary. However, the Drakes are starting to stack against them. It's already 2 going down as the Soul is revealed to be a Mountain as well. It's going to be rough if you give up a Mountain Spell, especially as Apex. It's great for them they got these first 2 Drakes.
Yeah, for Apex, though, also, like, something to consider about Mountain Soul, I talked about it maybe a little bit last week prior, is the realization that Mountain Soul itself is not great. It's the base dragons that are great. So there is a world tier 4 Desperado where they get 4 Mountain Drakes, and we talked about the difficulty of Ezreal getting through frontliners. Well, that's going to be made infinitely harder, of course, for each. But it does put BNL on a timer, right? They're going to feel like they're going to have to start fighting these dragons now coming up. So we're looking at like a 16-minute dragon here, Soul point for Apex. Yeah, and it's going to be like a very big contention point for Big and Little, I think, in comms about whether or not they're going to try and fight that. Like, is their Yunara, you know, Kassadin going to be strong enough, right? Like, that is really something to consider now, because you look at, like, Ezreal items, Triforce already completed. He's working on his Mirror Mana. He'll have the tier stacked up. Not sure if he'll get the gold by then, but how the game's been going probably picks up Mirror Mana by 16, which is crazy to say, by the way.
That would be nuts. I think by Soul Drake, I'd agree, but that is already first tower. So maybe I should be tempering my expectations a little bit even more. That was nice. Used the ult there over the wall. I used plan B, but I didn't get anything extra from that trade. I mean, with how fast they've managed to accelerate this game, already Lucidity Boots now in his inventory. I say with the Triforce, trying to get towards that Manamune as fast as possible. It's pretty close to being on the cards already, and that's a very scary state of affairs for this BNL roster. Currently the bot lane down 30 CS, still not at that Blade of the Ruined King spike, and that's maybe the downside of going an item like this, right? It costs a little bit extra, takes a little bit more time to get to that first item spike, especially now your Cull as well, really lacking in stacks in a game such as this, but Swarm not lacking in ways to get involved in the game. Not had a fun time in top, not had the most impactful time in top lane, but still trying to have his impact over the way there, as that is a kill in mid. I did not think he had kill threat there, but Starlet Ilora doesn't decide to flash, doesn't decide to heal, and that is going to be a kill as we head back down to bot lane, because Jorst is trying to take a 1 versus 2. Going to be Loose Cannon transcending himself, dashing away from the Decimating Smash and taking the kill with the help of his jungler, as Hui is still trying to fight in this top lane up against the Skarner. Finally get some help courtesy of Sourcewalker and Helper, who's going to take this little Scorpion for a walk, and that will be the kill going over to Sourcewalker. So a very positive cross map from every side happening. Kill in mid, kill in top, unfortunately losing your Sion and bot, but at the end of the day, Apex taking the best of the trades by a decent shot.
Well, if we recall all the way in draft where I talked about, you know, Team Apex's, like, you know, look at trying to win this game, it's their mid game, right? Like, they had to apply as much pressure in the mid game. Well, bot lane tier 1's gone, mid lane tier 1's gone. And the amount of gold on this Ezreal right now is just absolutely disgusting. We are definitely not going to be able to see the tier stacked up in time for the Mirror Mana completion, but we might get the Manamune completion by that, depending on how much gold he's getting here on his reset, which should be coming soon, because Drake is on the way. They honestly could be in a position to stall this out until he gets the item, but he is resetting now, so we'll see. Could just be the Caulfield's Bliss. We'll see.
That's longsword, I expect.
Yeah. There we go.
The extra 1,000 on the item completion it hurts a little bit too much, right? It's such a hefty item.
It is pretty brutal, but still, Ezreal on some insane items here. for the Drake fight, Yunara did just get Bork. So, well, the one downside about Bork, by the way, comparatively to Kraken, is you don't spike as hard on one item. Kraken is a great power spike for the Yunara. The Bork, not so much, especially into like these squishier members, right? Like the Ezreal, the Karma. It's actually not a good item into them. Like damage-wise, of course, it's great for sustain because you get the lifesteal, and it gives you, you know, tank killing ability, which you'll need later in the game. But unfortunately, building it first, well, means you don't really have a great time trading into the people who are killing you constantly here. But look at Swarm's damage once he hits that rock. So.
Yeah, both top lanes just going absolutely crazy. As speaking of crazy, Use Plan B has gone maybe a little bit too crazy in the side lane. Severing Bolt not going to quite catch where the Cassidy ulting away to. As he is going to escape in that 1 versus 3, just walking a little bit further up. That should be the Drake at least, though, given over to Apex. There's an attempt there at the Impale. Going to go just not quite long enough. The attempt at the cross map has been looked at. Just undiveable because he is Scion, right, guys? I mean, okay, rock to the face, maybe he is diveable now. A couple hundred HP. Should be able to catch the wave at the very least in the zombie form. You'd expect to kill headed over to Loose Cannon here in trade for this Drake that is being claimed by Torse Walker. His helper's actually up here to try and defend the play. Massive healing. Mantra W as well, potentially used here. He's going to go sending it with the Unstoppable Onslaught. Loose Cannon down to already half HP, but he's hanging on. As going to get stunned up here by Decimating Smash, and Helper trying to finish him off, barely dashing over the wall before he transcends out of there. TP in now from Use Plan B as the Scar looks like he's going to be the first to fall in this fight. But Use Plan B, he's looking for his level 11 spike to finally do something, but rooted up, taken for a walk, stunned up, Decimated Smash, thrown in the air, and unfortunately he can't even get the kill onto Jorst, who's saved once more by Helper. Massive cover on the top side from this Karma, who saves the top laner's life, if not once, if not twice, probably 3 times in just the one play.
God, it was so disgusting the amount of healing this Helia actually did for Jost here. Oh my goodness, that was just actually disgusting what I just witnessed. I cannot believe Jost lived that. Well, I feel like that was Big and Little's like desperate play this match. Like, I feel like that was the Hail Mary for them because they lost Soul and they didn't even get that kill. So Big and Little, well, I mean, maybe a kill here. Oh, nice fear. Don't think
yeah, nice fear, but I feel like death may still be coming as Hui knows they have to retreat, and that Impale barely even connects, but it does connect. That is the shutdown going over to Swarm, but Sourcewalker turns up and he fancies himself in a 1 versus 2. Goes maximum dosage, his helper takes a Scorpion for another little walk, puts him in the root. Vessel of Ruin on the top side, the one that's in the most danger to start things off. He's incredibly low. Swarm is just getting dunked on right now by this Ezreal. We said the Ezreal is going to have a tough time getting through the tanks, not when you're not this tanky. Swarm is getting absolutely destroyed by the Triforce Ezreal. Phantasma happy to take a kill when he's got that second item in his inventory, the Manamune. Not quite Mirror Mana just yet, but it does not matter. He is disgustingly strong, and nothing that BNL can do right now is stopping this mid-game spike from Apex Silver. The question really remains, can they make it through this mid-game to get to the late game? And I'm not sure if I believe, because that's a Rift Herald that can be dropped for this Soul fight, and a Soul at 22 minutes does not sound fun.
I mean, look at the state of Cassidy items. Like, we are not even completed with our tier item yet here, which, again, as expected, right? Like, they are the team with no kills. But you look at Ezreal, right? Like, Mirror Mana just ticked up. 19 minutes in, you know, he's going to be working towards his 3rd item here, which I would imagine is the Endless Hunger, as we see oh so commonly. Could it also be maybe a Sorilda's or something like that, if he's worried about tank. But, like, yeah, look at the gold lead here. It's just brutal to deal with. Like, the Cassidy, I think maybe, you know, Big and Little, like, their comp on paper is not bad if you're not, like, hardcore losing your lanes, right? Like, yes, you're going to lose priority early, and it's expected for them to lose, like, maybe the first 2 Drakes. Like, that's fine. But it's what it transpired during, like, the lane phase, right? Like, the Cassidy can't play very well, which is expected, but it's the bot lane. Like, bot lane here for Big and Little actually is just getting so hardcore poked out, which enables, you know, a couple roams down to punish the Yunara, and she's down 44 CS. Like, that is your big carry this game as well. Like, yes, Cassidy can carry the game. You know, Team Apex Silver don't really have the greatest way of dealing with the Cassidy, but the Kassadin is like your longest like timer in this game, right? Like it's not the Yunara, so you should be playing around the Yunara while your Kassadin is passively getting better. Because your Yunara is kind of like your mid-game bridge, a little bit. Not going to be the Ezreal kind of tier of bikes, but still not bad. Herald used to the mid lane though.
Yeah, using a little bit before the soul. Going to be quite aggressive here from Sourcewalker as he goes for the knock-up. Instead of even going for the tower, just going to get the knock-up onto Vessel of Ruin. He didn't have the smite to stop the inevitable from coming for him. He falls just outside of his wolves. That's the tier 2 already gone, of course, from that Rift Herald play. A minute before the soul spawns, Apex looking at an inhib turret at 21 minutes in. Lu's kind of going to transcend himself. Going to get caught, though, by the fear and the decimating smash down to half HP. Very little mana, and Swarm definitely cannot be walking up in a situation like this. Base timer is going to be coming through here for Apex as they look to take their time, complete this one as thoroughly as they possibly can. Here is the 20-minute spike here, though, for use plan B. He has his second item. He has the Merc Treads. He could look to maybe perform some heroics, but it will be some heroics as it's basically this Drake or bust, I feel, both sides.
Yeah, unfortunately not level 16 either. So won't have that to his advantage. I think expecting level 16 on a Kassadin at 21 minutes is impossible, but, you know, again, still something to note because they do have the positioning, though, and it's the first time they're going to have positioning around this dragon. What can they do with it, Rue?
Well, about to find out. They have managed to get here early, as you say, but Sourcewalker does not care about them being early. He walks into the pit, has no fear, takes half his health instantly, but he has a Mundo, so he'll heal back most of that straight back up. Anti-heal applied to him as we get into the backline instead. Much more important is the insta-kill onto Swarm, deleted as the tank. Vessel of Ruin pulled back and get rid out. Getting gone. He's out of here. I can't even think anymore. These guys have just been absolutely dog-walked from start to finish in this one. Apex happy to take that Soul Drake now in their favor. The Mountain Soul going to give them that extra shielding, going to provide them a bunch of extra stats as well, courtesy of those Drakes they've taken in their hands as they look to rotate up towards the Baron. It feels like the end is almost inevitable.
Yeah, interestingly enough here, by the way, I feel like maybe if Big and Little don't play this fight split, they try to kill Sourcewalker. That might have been their biggest win, right? Because then maybe you could prevent the Soul, maybe you'll lose Baron after the fact. But you at least prevent Soul, right? That gives you another 5 minutes to breathe, because the reality that they're going to end in this one Baron is pretty low. You look at statistics for first Baron ends, that is just incredibly rare to see a first Baron in the game if it's taken like pre-25 minutes. Which happens actually way more commonly than you'd think. But realistically here, right, because they're playing the fight so split, Swarm actually goes in to impale their backline, which the only follow-up for that was Kassadin. They can't even one-shot the Karma through that. And their Yunara, who is actually doing pretty good damage into Sourcewalker, well, just isn't enough to convert the kill, because Sourcewalker walks out to safety. Kassadin does negative damage to him, and it's Team Apex Silver all the way, getting Soul and Baron here.
Yeah, and a Hail Mary fight looking to be tempted here by Big and Little as I have lagged out. I can't see what's happening. Okay, we're back in. That is a dead-looking Kassadin. That's what's happening here. Use plan B, caught out. Looks like Vessel of Ruin flashed away to get to safety. The sole member of his team having to use that summoner, but able to escape on his part. But use plan B on that insane deep flank was never going to be able to escape in his own right. As Apex start the inevitable walk down towards mid. And they might be looking to just prove you wrong, because that is an inhib turret. Inhib taken at 24 minutes. They're not going to go pushing any deeper, though, as that might be a little bit too psychotic even for them. Minute 30 still on the Baron. Plenty of time to push these side lanes, as the bot wave is already pretty damn close to being pushed into the tier 2.
Yeah, I mean, this game just feels so hard to play as Big and Little. Again, I think like their comp is not bad. You just can't bleed as hard in your Yunara lane, right? And ultimately, that's exactly what happened this game. They're just like put into a position where this Ezreal is just so far ahead in gold.
Choo-choo. Oh my god, hello Unstoppable Onslaught, straight in there from Jost, getting all the space they could possibly want. Another Decimating Smash going to connect onto the Vessel of Ruin, as that is now the bot inhib turret taken in their favor. The inhib, surely there it goes, following suit. 2 inhib lanes guaranteed. The top lane has been pushed out pretty far here by Swarm, as he's going to take his base to make sure he's around in case of an end fight attempt. Apex unable to get all 3 inhibs with this Baron push, but they've already got so much in their favor. They can potentially even look to see if they can bait a fight in here for the end. Plan B, just trying to scale to level 16 as fast as possible, pushing that bot wave, keep it far away from the turrets, but the in mid lane is the one that's dealing the main damage. One Nexus turret already half HP, going to get taken even low. Sourcewalker just bonky his head against it. He would have got impaled if he didn't have the spell shield. Instead, it's going to be Phantasma pulled out alone, and he's already shut down. Loose Cannon with 1,000 gold to his name, but that's a humongous spiraling despair there from the Hui, as Vessel Ruin is barely going to escape, but he gets out, he escapes, and that's what's most important. Jaws in the front line, he's still tanky as hell, and he can still destroy Loose Cannon whenever he fancies it. 1 versus 4, this Scion does not care, and Use Plan B is just barely escaping under his top tier 3, able to hang on for the time being as he just walks it away, and finally Jaws is shut down. That took way too long, and while we're talking about one side being unable to get rid of tanks, maybe it's the other. But BNL, when they don't have that Yanara, Jaws is an unkillable demon, not a king.
Yeah, not a king here, but still an unkillable demon. But somehow, Big and Little, despite the 9,000 gold lead, losing an Nexus tower, they hold on, which is very important. The gold from the shutdown from, Phantasma going down goes to Yunara. Look at Yunara items. LDR completed here. Now, again, I still think they're a far cry away from coming back in this game, so we're not thinking I'm just, completely, delusional. But if they are going to mount the comeback, the gold going towards the Yunara on 3 items now, that is going to be their winning. They have level 16 now on Use Plan B. This is as good as it's going to get for them in this game for a while. This is as good as this is going to be for them. So this next fight, if they can't win it, I mean, they're going to lose no matter what. But if they can win it, they put themselves in a position to maybe start climbing up the mountain of this gold lead.
Yeah, well, the issue where I'm sat is that the next fight's likely to be around the Elder Drake as well. It's spawning in just about 50 seconds time. Apex not wanting to wait for that, instead want to try and get the triple inhib, guarantee that BNL can't even think of contesting. Use Plan B trying to wake his way over here from over the wall. He's instead just going to ult out because there's 2 wards tracking his every movement. Also zoned out by the Hui QE, so many letters I can't think right. Pushing out mid wave right now is him, is the rest of the team for Apex looking to try and go to the turrets. There's another impale, it's quite nice, but it's only on the front line this time from Swarm, and that's the difference in the fight. Last time it was on to the ADC, Ezreal was the one to fall. This time instead it's on to Jaws, but he actually ends up falling down. They have enough damage to get through the Scion now, which is something positive, but I'm not sure if it's positive enough, as the inhib tower is going to be taken. The bot lane has already pushed through to the Nexus turret, and now you're about to get triple inhibbed. Enjoy playing in your base for the next couple of minutes, as your mid inhib isn't even close to respawning either. It feels like it's a little bit more misery awaiting the BNL lineup, as their wave clear just not quite enough to get through as much is going to be coming their way. TP's though going to go on the hard flank. They're just going to send it, hope that this 4v5 is somehow the fight to end it all. Massive ult already in here from Use Plan B onto Hui, who's forced away in his own right. Nice fear on the bottom side of the fight. Instead, Phantasma is the one fighting from the front line, but Sourcewalker's taking down Acronia. Maximum dosage to get him back up. Already half HP as Use Plan B goes sending it, and ends up sending it just into his own grave. Vessel of Ruin going to try and send his way into the back line, but the Hui Mantra E is way too much. Jaws TP's back, and look at that health bar. What are you going to do now? You're just going to die. Face your fears, and unfortunately face the Nexus. Starlight, Allura, and Swarm, the last 2 alive, but it feels like not for much longer, as Phantasma very nearly landing that Q over the wall. Swarm barely escaping this time, but it is a very brief reprieve. The Nexus turret on the bot side already fell. The top one just respawned, and see it go down a second time. Apex potentially looking for some kills here, as Jaws is going to be pulled under the Nexus into the fountain, and he can tank it for centuries. The guy is just completely unstoppable in a situation such as this. They're diving the fountain onto a Skarner. He's the tank, by the way, and yet they can still just do that in his face. They're fine to get it in the game because that is Use Plan B respawning. They don't want to troll too hard, especially that being a level 16 caster. They're just going to take the win. As an 18-6 game is what Apex Silver have just laid down the gauntlet in this elimination series with.
This is a time where my draft analysis being wrong makes me happy, because I also gave a win con for Team Apex Silver, and they completely executed it to the T. Like, that was fantastic. But my biggest issue here is Desperado, in reality, right? And we actually talked off broadcast, you and me, about Karma. You know, you're like, well, Serpent's Fang, not present in this game. And the Karma completely smurfed it. Helper 100% MVP for this game. Kept up, you know, the Hail Mary play on the top side, you know, against Joss. Karma was there. And, you know, Joss didn't die. They sent literally everything to try and kill Joss. Didn't work there. Multiple low health bars in that last fight. Matra E there to save the backline. So Helper on the Karma doing disgusting things in terms of shielding and also healing thanks to the Helia. This game definitely gets my game 1 MVP, but still have a series ahead of us, as not necessarily sure Desperado are out of it just yet, but man, I think it is just so tragic that the Shunara got this far behind. Look at her damage this game, right? Just 2k behind the Ezreal, which, you know, if they maybe play a little bit harder, maybe it's the Udyr pick, right? Like, maybe they pick like a more conventional jungler here to where they can actually alleviate pressure off of the Yunara a little bit more. It's a bit better for Desperado. Unfortunately, we don't see that come out, so they're going to lose game 1. But an excellent game from Team Apex Silver when, you know, they were on the timer, but they pushed their advantage as perfectly as they could have.
Absolutely. They basically just went out from start to finish in that one. Phantasma with an amazing performance in the bot lane, as I hope we can see at least one more game of that from him in this series. We're going to send to a short little break. We'll be back with Game 2 draft just after this.
全マーケットは迅速な発送ですぐにお届けします。あ、ボクセット？
大丈夫？
でも直接来てくれたの？
これ
って
漫画みたいだったね。
しかも今衣装着てるし、花でもあれば完璧なのに。
完璧だよ。壊れ物だから自分で届けたかったんだ。
あなたって完璧。ありがとう、全マーケット。
welcome back everyone to game number 2 between Apex and Desperado B and L. Getting ready for draft here as the sides appear to have swapped from what they were in game 1, but we expect to see hopefully a little change actually. Desperado B and L gonna have some talking points headed into this one. Hopefully they've had time to de-stress, detox, and get back into things. Slightly different focus in their draft for game 2. Their bans already, 2 mid bans focusing onto GOAT already, and one of them the Mel, which wasn't bad at all, even though we saw 4 mid bans in second rotation in game 1.
Yeah, I think, well, specifically Big and Little, they saw last game seeing Victor banned, and again, like I said, like you're watching higher, like much higher elo stuff than this. Mel being picked usually is preceded by a Victor ban, and as we see the Ambessa banned once more. Again, she just, I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, this champ is just completely terrorizing all of AML, so she's just the highest priority champion. It is genuinely not close. She got 20% gap on the next champion, so Navi, though, will be the ban, but hey, look, Ashe Seraphine, at the very least, they're opting for Seraphine first pick, which tends to be a bit better here, so like if they do snipe away the Ashe, you know, the Ashe doesn't necessarily get a great support with it. Your best option is usually Ashe Braum, and Braum struggles into range support, so of course it can get a lot of value with the shield into Encore, but again, you kind of sacrifice your entire lane phase for it, and we will see the split up pairing there from Big and Little, taking away the Ashe. So we'll
I feel like if there's one enchanter that Braum would do alright into, it feels like Seraphine, right? Of all the enchanters that sounds like a pain, Seraphine doesn't sound like the worst, right? It feels like if you can... It's all about the Unbreakable, but they're actually going to pivot away from that entirely, going on to the Leona there for Desperado. Not a pairing you see every day, Leona Ashe. I mean, the CC potential in that lane is quite annoying.
I mean, this is guaranteed cleanse out of whatever AD carry is being played. You definitely
Cleanse out
guaranteed Mikhail's. Yeah, Mikhail's first item here, or the Seraphine, which 9 times out of 10 anyways, you'll see supports, especially even just playing into Ashe, will just tech the Mikhail's because they've realized that they're also a massive target and they can't really afford to go cleanse themselves. So they'll just tech into the Mikhail's first item, but it will actually be the Jax pickup here. Now flexible between the jungle and top lane, although mostly in the top lane does shut out things that have been coming back into the meta, like the Gnar most notably. Because one of Gnar's counters, you just jump on mini Gnar if he jumps away and you just beat him up, which is rough, and you know, Jax doesn't necessarily care about Mega Gnar either, so that's pretty cool. Now Team Apex Silver here gonna round out the draft with a smaller like we talked about, and also double flexible as well, so keeping their options open here with their 2 and 3 on the side of Apex Silver. What are Big and Little going to respond with? I would imagine this is going to be Smolder Seraphine bot lane though, because I think putting it mid, in my opinion, I think having a pushing mid for you is really great, because I think you would much rather not have a pushing bot lane, especially looking into Ashe Leona. What are you going to be able to get prio into, because you don't have the Ashe Seraphine, and it will actually be Ahri coming through, so some kill pressure here from Big and Little, which was very noticeably missing last game. They're opting in for a bit of a mid-game pick comp here, initially in the early phase of their draft.
Yeah, I think Ahri obviously in an amazing place this whole year, right? And it's a champ that GOAT really likes to play. So the fact that it's now taken away by Desperado is great for this game. And if they said it's a great game 3, means that's just one more ban they don't have to worry about in a very high leverage situation. That for me sends the Smolder down to bot lane more than anything else. I'll be honest. Taking Smolder into Ahri sounds miserable. I think especially with how much teams have loved to play through mid, especially as you climb in elo. Being able to play through your mid lane right now is seen as like the best thing to do. So all the way through first stand, it's the teams that are able to play best through mid. Shout out Caps. They're the teams that are able to do best at first stand. I won't harp on that all too much longer, but as we head into our second rotation here, we have got a couple of bans taken away by BNL, a couple of jungle bans here by Apex, as they look to protect their rather irregular flappy little dragon.
So the Mel ban makes sense here if if you're playing on Ari, and it's actually going to be the Imani for Big and Lil here, which kind of just getting some
CC is brutal.
We're just all in. Mikhails is not saving whoever is getting hit by any CC this game. That person is just dead. They're not playing the game for about as long as their death timer is going to be game, guaranteed. So if not, the CC timer might end up being longer than their death timer if they do everything perfectly. But I do like this Silas. You get a lot of good ultimates this game. Spear Rush, great, right? Gives you much needed mobility to get into the back line. Also can give you a great out, because of course Silas doesn't have a great out, right? Like, he's not really a great champion at getting out. Well, Spear Rush can give you that. Solar Flare, good picking. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, also a great pick tool. Well, and you need a team fight ult because you're missing one, or your Seraphine just wants to chain something off. Well, you have Curse the Sad Mummy. This Silas is absolutely feasting in ultimates this game. And Ornn, which, oh man. This Apex draft is looking very disgusting.
Yeah, my small worry here is the fact that obviously on 5, BNL will get this counter pick into the top lane. There's not much that does all too much into an Ornn, but Aatrox can definitely have a good go of things, right? One of the best tank rushers still in the top lane. Hopefully for BNL will be able to get through this Ornn. In mid lane as well, we expect early on the Ari to be quite dominant over the Silas, and Smolder, come 25 minutes, right? This Apex draft looks amazing, but you got to get to 25 minutes, right? It's what we saw in game 1, is that you got to get to the point where you're strong. I can feel like a potential here for Desperado. If they can get their winning lanes they just did not have in game 1, we could be flipping this script right on its head. Yeah,
I mean, so for Big and Little, right? Like, they have so much CC. And you look at Team Apex Silver and someone to eat CC for their team, well, they don't really have the best options. You realistically need your Silas to not get hit by CC, because he can very easily not find anything. You know, if he's CC'd forever. And also, I think something with Big and Little's comp is they don't have to use everything at once because of how much CC they have. They can actually kind of pace themselves, which is very rare, right? You see a team with, like, you know, maybe like an Ashe Seraphine ult, and that's about it in terms of like fight starting or CC. But with this, they have every single champ besides Aatrox has very good CC, very consistent. The Aatrox, of course, does have the knockup and the Infernal Chains, but in reality, right, like, it's not as easy to follow up. And
he's a lot more him.
Yeah, you know, it's also his main source of damage. So if he's hitting it, they're probably dying anyways. But like, you look at Big and Little, right? Like, they can charm somebody and then chain up with a bandage toss. They can bandage toss, you can charm up with a Zenith Blade into a stun combo. There's so many possibilities here for Big and Little's draft that I really appreciate, that I think could be a little hard for Team Apex to deal with. But as you said last game or last draft, it comes down to how they do their clicks. Because if they can't click very well, they will simply just lose. And last game, Team Apex did exactly what they needed to do by way of clicking maybe a little bit better than Big and Little, and getting themselves a lead in the mid game. But Smolder Insurance could pay off. I would definitely imagine we're seeing a QSS this game as well. Like, we're going to see Cleanse, QSS, Mikhails. I'd hope we're going to see a Banshees at some point for the Silas. Like, and Merc Treads. I better see 5 Merc Treads this game, because the tenacity is so useful.
Yeah, though I have to say, like, both sides have like some pretty fun team fights, right? We look at Apex, we look at BNL, right? Sorry, that's what we look at first. Like, their CC, as we've been saying this whole time, is insane. Therefore, their team fight probably pretty good, right? Typically, CC goes hand in hand with your team fight, but Apex, I mean, it's not too bad for themselves, right? Especially if the side is able to take a good team fight ultimate. You have an Encore, you have an Ornn. You can send the Jackson to follow up with that Counter-Strike CC, send the Smolder over the top, whatever Silas has, he can throw it in there. That Apex comp looks amazing for the team fight as well. I think the main factor in this will be the difference in gold when we get to the team fights. If these two teams are even, it's going to be incredibly interesting when we get to kind of 25-30 minutes. If one team is far ahead, then I don't see an easy way back in, because the way in for both of these teams at that point in the game is the team fighting. And it's difficult when you're 5 to 10k down to really get that Giga team fight. It all comes down to how you can get through these lanes, and right now from where I'm seeing it, B&L kind of have the better lanes.
Yeah, well, I think we might go to a break here because, you know, we need a little rest for our voices per usual, but in reality, we gotta psych ourselves up for this game too, because if things are going to look up for big and little, it's definitely going to be in this game. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to game 2 of the series between Apex Silver and Desperado B and L. Getting into things early here in the top lane is Swarm trying to look for an aggressive trade, trying to guarantee himself a very solid lane, as he has also gone for an Ignite in game 2. Has that counter pick from R5. He's looking to use it to the best of his abilities, and looking to, hopefully for him, punish this more passive pick chosen in the top lane by Jorst. Already going very aggressive in the top lane, as we'd expect from an Aatrox. BNL feel like it's almost like the opposite of what we saw in game 1. It feels like they're almost on the timer, as this is a very aggressive trade early on. I mean, Jorst is still walking up. That's an Ignite on the Aatrox, so you gotta be very careful.
Yeah, I mean, Josh trading HP for experience there, so we'll see if it pays out or pays off. He also didn't use his health pot during that, so we'll have that eventually. But I do want to mention that this Ignite is kind of a kiss curse here for Swarm. Well,
hold on! Oh my God! Flashing forwards, looking for the kill, but he doesn't quite have it on that early play. And flashing Ignite already used by Swarm. Jorst happy to tank the both of those. Has 0 CS right now. But it's not all too important what he gets in the base. What's more important is he gets this HP, because of course he isn't on. He can buy the items while he's still in lane. He could have maybe grabbed an extra pot if he wanted to. He's just happy to hang on, as he's forced to flash away now, because Swarm is level 3 and he is level 1.
I mean, now Jost is, down a whole bunch. But he didn't die. He actually did not die to the Ignite play, so see, he does hit level 2 here now eventually. As I think in this top side, again, as I was going to mention about the Ignite before level 1, we actually saw the Ignite through, is it can be a bit of a kiss curse, right? Because if you get payout from your Ignite, it's great, but you're also playing like an Ignite into an Ornn who A is already going to lose the lane and also doesn't really care about losing the lane. And, the D-Shield pot keeps him alive for the Ignite overall, so Jost playing on the very edge of his HP pool and starting to catch back up in terms of the experience now. Definitely not in that bad of a position anymore. Did look very brutal, though, I will not lie.
I was quite scared for him, but he hangs on as we now move into this kind of second phase of the lane. Top lane starting to calm down just a little bit. Swarm no longer has that very early prior, especially with his Ignite gone, but it's already halfway back. As we'll see if he can use that prior once more. What happened on the rest of the map is basically not all too much. The Smolder Seraphine winning out early on, getting level 2 before, of course, the melee support of the Ashe Leona. As it is both bot lanes, by the way, choosing to go for a cleanse. I think in a situation like this, makes a whole lot of sense, right? We're talking about both teams' team fights being absolutely disgusting. The lanes might not find this cleanse as useful, but of course into Leona, cleanse is always very useful. But come late game, I think it's going to be more than just useful, it's going to be a necessity for both teams.
Counter gank coming.
As we are ganking top. Okay.
Well,
both teams ganking top here. Sourcewalker has red buff, Vessel of Ruin has blue buff. Probably the most useful for each of them in a situation like this. They're both cleared down to bot. They've both taken their bases. And now they are showing interest in their top laners' lives. It's going to be Jorst getting a push out as a result, but his base does get cancelled. Nice blind Q there from Swarm to delay this Ornn's base just that little bit extra. Has a ward in the second rush, know that he's in the third, and he's unlikely to go for this base now, especially without TP. Finds him not in the alcove, goes again for the interrupt. This time Jorst not allowed to buy an item, just going to have to searing charge his way out of those infernal chains.
Man. Nice
and we are going in on mid. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to let you talk. This is just not allowed in this game, as that's use plan B flashing over the wall. Vessel of Ruin, we're not going to talk about that bandage toss there. I feel like if he hit it, we're probably looking at a kill. Instead, it's going to be a double flash in the mid lane. Vessel going to force Goat into a flash. Thank you, Goat, for turning off your stream mode. I can now call you by your correct name, and if we continue for how things were in game 1, you might be called the Goat.
Honestly, I'm shocked he didn't insta-flash. Actually,
please stop for a second. What we are still fighting in mid. Spirit Rush already used here by Goat as he's stolen the one from Use Plan B, but he's come back with full HP, and he's going to get the first kill of the game. The second kill going his way too, because somehow Starlight has turned up to the top lane as Swarm has dived the Ornn, and it's not gone very well for him. The poor fella using Ignite once more, but getting destroyed because you tried to dive an Ornn, and I guess at the end of the day, that's just on you. A little bit too deep from the Aatrox this time around. He's not CSing, he's going a lot more for the aggressive trades, and it doesn't pay off as we get another look at mid.
I don't really know what Goat is doing here. He literally should just get away. This is a level 6 Ahri, but he just goes in really aggressively like they have the damage, and, well, early kills here for the Ahri is fantastic, but we have seen this play happen so many times in AML. Oh, we got more.
God.
Just...
What are we doing? Why are we there?
I will simply disconnect from the stream, okay? I simply do not need to be here, obviously.
What are we doing?
But,
there's no one there, and we're just a Mumu Leona walking up through the enemy tribe rush at minute 6, getting very well punished this time by Sourcewalker, who, by the way, had his flash burnt in the previous mid play. That was, so of course, Goat trading flashes with Vessel earlier on, and then Sourcewalker forced to flash away, but he flashed away from a Spirit rushing Ahri. Use Plan B was able to get that double kill in mid. But then he just gets a double kill back, because apparently it's a little bit too much to ask for a stable early game.
Hey, I mean, what better game than to have a massive pop-off one here? Especially for Big and Little after last game. Kind of just did nothing and lost, unfortunately, because of how it played out. But I want to talk a bit more about AML struggles at diving into the Ornn, because, well, that has been a very consistent thing, and it keeps happening. Everyone keeps, like, trying to dive an Ornn, and it just does not work. Like, if someone out there has editing skills, can actually edit, if you could go back on like every single week and maybe edit and every single failed dive attempt on an Ornn, I'd give you massive props. Like that. There have been so many failed dives on an Ornn, single, you know, multiple people coming up as well, and it's not going their way. It just doesn't work out, as Swarm finds out. Does hug tower a little bit too hard there, as now he's doing
it feels like it's more than just like a 2 nickels type situation, as we're fighting in the enemy jungle, but this time it's because you have Spirit Rush and you also have a Curse of the Sad Mummy. Vessel of Ruin, though, still going to fall down, as it's going to be mid lane for jungle. Use Plan B going to have the best of the rest of this trade, though. Has one more dash, going to force that ward jump there from Sourcewalker as he hops back over to his control ward. The top laners were also looking to make a big fight out of this. The Swarm is trying to force Sourcewalker away from his Gromp on the top side. They're going to keep on doing their thing, as we're going to have a look at bot lane, as Use Plan B has decided the play has ended. Unfortunately for him, Swarm has not decided the play has ended. The Ahri is nowhere near this anymore, and that's also an Ornhorn exchanged for the Aatrox, also pressing our Sourcewalker. He's trying for his life to get this Gromp, but he's not allowed to, and Sourcewalker deleted now by Swarm, who finally takes advantage of his Ignite. Doesn't care about having his ult anymore, just goes for the kill, gets it on the enemy Gromp, and that is honestly best for Vessel of Ruin more than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely kind of insane that Sourcewalker is just doing his Gromp again. Like, Swarm isn't going to play for that, has the Ignite and everything, but it's a kill over to the Aatrox, who kind of put himself in a really weird position after dying to the Ornn in the tower dive. Now that is caught back up, and he's up CS, so should be just slightly ahead in gold here against the Ornn. Now, granted, how much gold is enough gold here? For
300 is not.
Unfortunately,
that would be my answer.
Is not
how much is, but I can tell you how much isn't, and unfortunately, he's not quite there yet.
Yeah. That being said, of course, Ornn doesn't have any of his ornaments printed out yet either, so he's not getting that value. But still, we'll need a much larger gold lead here for the Aatrox to kind of mitigate what the Ornn's going to be able to do for his team later. But kind of a chaotic early game here for both teams here. Rue is still trading everywhere going on. Phantasma actually finding some tower plates this.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the CS import as well, and I feel like he's somehow I won't say the biggest winner of the early game, because there is still a 3-kill Ari running around the Rift with a Malignance at 10 minutes. But he's close, right? 2 assists on the Smolder, up in CS by about 2 waves over Loose Cannon. And while Starlight has got some amazing value from his roams up towards mid, in particular sticking in my mind, it feels like right now the Smolder has been the massive beneficiary of such a chaotic early game where he's just kind of be able to ignore all this chaos and happily farm his way up to a very solid position in game number 2. Still not quite at that first item spike, looking to go towards the Essence Reaver as we expect from Smolders nowadays, but still putting in an amazing start to game number 2. And I mean, that was the part of the draft that I was a little bit scared of, if I'm going to be honest, for Apex Silver, right? I was a little bit scared that the Smolder was going to take too long to get online. I wasn't sure how stable this early game would be for him in particular, but if things continue like this, he's going to be in a great place.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing really well, and earlier, you know, that we saw them get a double kill in the bot lane or bot side of the map. That actually came off the back of forcing out cleanse from Phantasma. So they did get something out of it, but went unpunished because now he has cleanse back. So no kill pressure here for them on this Smolder. So Flap will be used, but won't find any damage.
Hello, Sourcewalker, on my Krugs. How are you today, Sourcewalker, on my Krugs? As we are going to go sending it forwards. Okay, Counter-Strike forwards, leap jump in. Ornhorn called, as Swarm says, okay, I'm under my turret, what you going to do? Feels like nothing is going to be the main answer to that one, as that was 2 ults invested for 1 there, as well as Jax decided to take a call to arms. Finds himself backing out of control, going to get rid of that. Now Swarm's going to clear the wave under his tower. Already a Spear of Shojin in his inventory, as for the Jax being on the top side, we get the cross map of the Amumu taking Drake on bot.
Yeah, I mean, so for the first time this series, granted we're only in game 2, but we actually see a Drake picked up by Big and Little here. Was that Cloud? But regardless, an even Drake split, right? Which is actually what usually happens in games. Means Team Apex Silver obviously can't necessarily stack this Drake for the for their soul point like they did last game with a super fast soul.
Zenith Blade forward in the bot lane. Starlight going to land that on there. The cleanse already used here by Phantasma. They're looking trying to make a play out of this. Sourcewalker rather is already in the bot side as it's a flash encore that's instantly cleansed by Loose Cannon. He's going to flash away from the counter strike, which is another flash used there by Sourcewalker. All of those instant ability summoners getting used in the bot lane apart from Phantasmas and by the looks of things Starlights. And we head back up to top as Swarm is looking to really establish dominance in this phase of the lane. His item has come online compared to the Ornn, who's still waiting on what looks to be an unending despair. Nice searing charge onto that pillar. Can try and trade things out pretty evenly. They're both getting quite low in this one, as a Q3 is going to get Bellow's Breath to avoid at least the knock-up, but the Ignite going to start ticking, and Swarm's just going to wait for it to go away before he looks for the tower dive himself. Going to at least hit the turret plate we'd expect to get the plating in his inventory. Goes for the Q1, doesn't quite connect, and that will be Swarm staying alive this... Joust rather, staying alive this time.
Nice movement actually from Joust.
Wait, where's Vessel?
Very sticky situation. Vessel is here.
Vessel is on the Gromp. He is here. He is getting a Forge God called on his face. That is beautiful play. Vessel, we're not going to talk about that flash anymore, but Use Plan B is here to trade things back out, and it's a double kill on the Q2 from Swarm. Beautiful slice of the sword. The Darkened Blade reaps 2 victims, and Sourcewalker and Joust are those 2. They fall by the wayside as there's a Solar Flare into mid as well. They're sending it under the turret. I'm not sure about this one, folks, as that is Starlight tanking 3 turret shots and just deciding that actually, you know what? Discretion is indeed the better part of valor. I don't fancy this one.
Well, this Aatrox is starting to become maybe a bit of a problem here for Team Apex Silver, as already seeing the Ornn struggling. Does pick up a kill though, but first tower falling in the top lane. So a lot of gold now on this Aatrox. He's up about 30 CS here as he picks up that wave. Just under 26 CS being stacked, but that's not right. Whatever, math is hard. You know what? I give up.
But the CS numbers are changing while the Ornn's farming as well. It makes it quite difficult. Starlight is also finding it quite difficult to stay alive, as a Solar Flare is going to be stolen and then thrown at his face, but he's going to be able to get out because of the TP coming in, courtesy of... looks like Use Plan B making his way down to the bot side. It's going to be a free escape here for Starlight. So maybe not the most ideal of situations.
Yeah, I'm actually, well, to be honest, the biggest thing here is the Smolder for Team Apex Silver is completely unbothered. He is just having the time of his life this game. He is literally just chilling, farming up. Hopefully we can get a stack check here. Yeah, get a stack check here soon. It is 15 minutes in, so we'll see low breakpoint. And 124 is definitely not bad.
Very close to the breakpoint, in fact. The first one already claimed was 25. There's the second one. Bouncing those queues now 100 away from getting that execute online, as it feels like BNL, maybe not on the clock just yet, but they can feel the timer maybe creeping in the background. Of all the people to be ahead or even in gold in their lane, he was going to be third out of 3. From where I'm sat, I feel like Phantasma's done an amazing job so far on the Smolder, as you're pointing out, but unfortunately for him, the rest of the map is really where it looks like Apex Silver are struggling, and Jorst is really struggling to be in a safe position there, as an Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to get Bella's Breath away from. No extra follow-up CC going to be invested here by Starlight, as it will just be that Ashe ulti mitigated, but the flash also used there by the Ornn as he caught himself on the very wrong side of the river.
Yeah, well, it is just flash from the Ornn. And no kill, so that's great, but we talked about if the Aatrox lead was enough. It wasn't earlier, but it might as well be now. Has the Shojin, will be picking up the Sundered Sky shortly here. Next back will for sure lock that one in for him. And we talked about the strength of the Merc Treads. We already see that coming through onto 2 members. The Null Magic Mantle being built by the Ornn means that
I'm going to actually you and say 3 Phantasmas are hidden.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. Yep, you can hit me with the actually, because of the hidden. Honestly thought he was just playing bootless for a second. I was like, man,
the new season. It's not even that new anymore, but it still gets us.
I know, it is. It's so weird, like such a weird position for it as well, because it also covers runes, which obviously you can see at the start of the game. It doesn't really matter, but you know.
Yeah, Swarm has to be a little bit careful here. He should know that his team has just taken a Drake completely uncontested. That means that the jungler can very much so be in the picture on the top side. Sourcewalker showing his presence, but unfortunately for him not finding anything extra, Swarm just going to be able to back away from this one. Not even going to have to pop that World Ender, as instead the mid turret is the one that's going to pop. Unfortunately, the Zenith Blade not quite landing this time, and now Starlight is forced into a very awkward retreat. Using the Eclipse already, just going to try and run the way out to safety. Actually up to the top lane, but that leaves is Leona out to dry. Starlight is just getting absolutely run over here by the Smolder, and there's no ceasing in just pain for this support. Just got completely abandoned by his ADC. Throws the ult up to top lane to try and help Swarm, who by the way is full HP after just popping his ultimate. I feel like if that was used in mid, there may have been at least a summoner used there by Phantasma that would have to have something mitigated. As speaking of mitigation, that was disgusting by Swarm. No mitigation this time from Joust. The Sourcewalker is going to go diving a turret, and this feels like at best a 1-for-1 situation. The use plan B is going to try and turn back even more in his favor, and there's the difference. If they got the cleanse out off the Ashe Arrow into mid, then Phantasma probably dies going there, as now Vessel of Ruin is looking for a 1v1 with the Silas. Speaking from experience, this never goes well for the Amumu. I don't care how annoying you feel, he has a Curse of the Sad Mummy, he can just turn whenever he wants. The W healing is way too much for that anti-heal.
Yeah, I think this could have been a really positive play by Big and Little, because they utilize the Herald bot. They don't really get anything top lane for Team Apex Silver. And the Ashe Arrow would have at least, again, like you said, maybe costed a summoner spell at the very least for Starlight. But Starlight, is kind of just getting the support treatment, I suppose.
That was previous portrait. Let's have a look at this one.
He doesn't really. He throws out a W, and I know he's so scared of dying here, but look, he throws old top lane, and it's just like, yeah. So.
Okay, we're not allowed to look at anything. They just got caught in the river. It's a 5v2, and that ends as most 5v2s do. And the 5 winning, shockingly. Ashley only going to fall by the wayside, as that is also double summoners used by the loose cannon. About the worst case scenario for this Ashe, who was having a pretty solid game, apart from the abandonment of their support, who now clearly has trust issues, takes it personally, walks into the river with him, and just ends up dying as well. Mid-tier 1, an additional consequence of that play. Big equalizer here for Apex, as they were really starting to fall into quite a pit. Now they somewhat equalize that gold lead, and in some ways extend the gold lead that was happening in bot lane. Now Phantasma are 1,000 ahead of where this Ashe is, and they can look to make plays on side as well.
So, to talk briefly about the Ocean Soul, a lot of people kind of don't value it a lot. Like, they're like, it's kind of mid. Well, this game, it actually has some implication, though.
That's so annoying as Silas.
It's like Big and Little, right? Like, their whole game plan is to just burst you down with their amount of CC they have, right? Like, they want to try and kill you during their CCs. Because outside of that, they don't really have a lot of damage. The Aatrox, maybe the Ahri, right? The Ashe right now is not going to be doing a whole lot of damage. But you look at the build path here for the Smolder, he's going towards the, more Bruiser build, which we've seen teched into, which is going to end up with like an Endless Hunger. So he's going to have actually a lot of HP. And if they are to get an Ocean... Oh,
hello, sorry, gonna cut you off there. Is that Swordwalker forced to fly away? He thought his raptors were his to take, but Vessel of Ruin says no thank you. I am a very sad mummy, I'm gonna cry in your general direction. And that is going to force his retreat this time around, but not able to take the red buff because that is the bot lane / mid lane roaming up their goat, going to save the red buff for his jungle.
Well, back to my point. Hey, Team Apex Silver, if they get the Ocean Soul, right, they actually have so much sustain in terms of like teamfight longevity that is very much missing for Big and Little outside of the Aatrox. I guess the Ahri's picking up kills, right? She's getting healing from Orbit, like the Orbit Deception passive. So, regardless. But Phantasma has been untouched this entire game. Like, completely. He somehow, against 20 years of CC, he is yet to have died this game. In fact, he has just felt completely unpressured. I haven't seen him low like this entire game for the most part. That's a question Big and Little are going to have to answer soon, because I can't imagine the stacks are getting any better here for the Smolder. Ooh, Solar Flare.
Flash away there from Starlight. Yeah, absolutely. Hijack going to get great value this time around from Goat as they look to rotate down towards this Drake. It would be soul point if they gave it up. Instead, they're going to look to tie things up at 2-2. We'll see if Big and Little allow that to happen. Looks like they will. As of right now, they have Swarm split pushing in the side lane, but he's going to TP on the very deep flank. Look at where that ward is. It's on the red buff. They're just absolutely sending it for this fight. I'm not sure if that was spotted by Apex or not. They seem to have put some pings down potentially. They want to get this mid-prio first, but it does mean the Aatrox has one hell of a flank going on if they choose to commit on us. Currently sat in the Raptor pit. Not sure if he's been spotted. If he looks for the damage over the wall here, could be talking a very interesting game instead. Going to be spotted early by Helper there, and that means instead that he may be the one getting engaged. I'm going to dash into the pit as the Drake is being claimed by BNL. Arrow onto Sourcewalker is perfectly timed to deny the Drake from being stolen. Instead, it's going to be the engage onto the Leona, who gets a nice interplay to get himself most of the way out. Blast Cone could save their life here as the Curse of Sam does nothing from Goat. He ends up not falling just yet, but he's surely soon to follow. Use Plan B, already Spirit Rushing all over him. He's got himself another kill in this fight, and as Jorst left alone on the front line, he's 1v4, sorry. Starlight did fall, and typically 1v4 ends up in 0v4. As such, BNL take the fight, they claim the Drake, and they look to go up towards this Baron as well.
Again, we'll take a look back here, but where is Goat going? Like, you are not killing this Ahri ever, and look at your backline. The only person that matters in your entire team at the moment is Smolder. They are just leaving Smolder to die for this Ahri they're never killing. So, I mean, Team Apex Silver just get completely punished. They're going to lose the soul point, and now Baron as well, as Swarm unleashed on the backline there. Goat playing the, use Plan B, playing the part of a bait very well. Of course, this bait comes with 9 tails, and 3 charges to get herself away from danger, so... Again, Smolder didn't have stacks there.
Like that.
Yeah, that's also true. But, Smolder didn't have stacks for that fight, which makes that harder. Well, right? Like, they don't have that much damage, but no one helped at all. It literally was Smolder in a 1v1 against Aatrox, and he lost that, obviously. Like, it obviously wasn't close.
Yeah.
If you're Team Apex Silver, you have to realize, like, your team fight is Smolder. You're not playing
that's what the drop is.
Yeah, like, you're not playing a crazy Silas like damage game this game. It's really hard because they have a lot of CC, they have a lot of kite back away from you. You're simply just there to pick an ultimate and peel for Smolder, basically. Granted, I don't know if he had hijack for that fight because he did use it to try and pick out the Leona who flashed away.
I think he used a Mumu in the fight. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think I saw two Mumus.
Yeah, he might have been able to get it back in just in time, but still, Big and Little with a lead in this game. First time in the series with a very
1,000.
yeah, march themselves down
Massive lead.
lane. Also, Pseudo set up their top wave, kind of. Not really, but kind of. But that will be cleaned up. And they're going to give up on this mid wave now as they can't really siege the mid tier 3 without getting the spot tier 2. So they are going to finally shut that out. But this is what I talk about so much. I think I went on a tirade about it last week, but it is really important to set up your wave states as the winning team. Because if you get Baron, you don't want to waste any of your Baron time. You just want to go right into hitting objectives, getting gold. The more time you waste
this has been 2 minutes.
wave states, like the more time you're trying to waste, or you waste setting up your wave state, is just more time that the enemy team just doesn't have to care about your Baron buff. Like, so, you know, it's really important. Like, did you really need everyone at the Baron at that play? Probably not. You could have had someone, you know, forcing out some of these waves, so you had waves to play off of. But regardless, they still find a lot of gold off of this play. Not to blame them. You know, they are up 9,000 almost. 8.5k is more accurate, but still, they're not out of the woodworks yet. Smolder will have stacks soon, if not now. Definitely should have them by now, but yeah, he surely
250.
has, yeah. So, unfortunately here, it is a bit difficult though, especially with a strike 1 minute. They're gonna have to try and get positioning for this. They don't really have great ways of walking in, which was exactly what we saw last fight. Is walking into this much CC is really difficult. But if they can maintain the position around the Drake, you know, they have great ways of, like, you know, space denial. You have a stolen Curse of the Sad Mummy here from Goat. You have Encore. You have Call of the Forge God. So if you can prevent them from getting in and not having a great fight like they did last time, you might have yourself an angle back into this game. It is all just riding on the smolders of one smolder little shoulders. So
yes, the smolders of a shoulder.
You know, I was gonna go for it, but you know,
I think that's a very solid analysis here. One thing I'm kind of scared of, as the fight is maybe looking to start, there is no Chaos for Helper. He's still a little bit away from the item spike, as that is maybe the saving grace for Phantasma in a fight such as this. Is the space already going to be somewhat seeded here by Apex to start things off? Sourcewalker jumps onto the mid wave, gets Q2'd out by Swarm as the wave is going to be pushed in. There is the landing onto the Seraphine, and that's a really rough fight start, but it's actually use plan B that gets deleted off the backside. Sourcewalker barely surviving, getting ticked down by the Ignite of all things, and he's going to fall down as well. Starlight barely staying alive, but most importantly he does, and finally Phantasma is dealt with. Doesn't use either Summoner because he knows he's just kind of dead, and it's Jorst who's left alive against the world once more. The 1v4 goes the exact same way as it did last time, unfortunately with no extra kills. Vessel Ruin flashing away to make sure that that doesn't happen. And speaking of flashing away, I just saw Apex lose a team fight around Sol where they didn't use a single flash.
yeah, I mean, kind of crazy. I want my camera to be on for something I'm going to talk about after this game, but it's going to be Big and Little claiming this game, maybe?
It's about to happen. There's finally a flash going to get used. It's not a Helper flashing away there, as that is an execute onto Starlight, who dies to the Nexus turret. 1 turret down, 2 turrets down. The Nexus is now open. Swarm just needs to hit it right now. I feel like they could hit the Nexus and win, but they're a little bit too late. Instead, they send Swarm into the Abyss. They don't go for the end. Instead, they feel like it's not in time. They sacrificed 2 team members and they didn't claim the Drake in the first place. BNL with a little bit of shenanigans here. Mom called to try and get the slow. They're going to steal the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, which is going to go just wide. They split the goalpost on that one, but there's an Ornn hiding in the bush. Jaws TP's back in. His shield is absolutely humongous. Loose Cannon is going to get shut down once more. They knew that it wasn't the final fight. Everything was fine. They didn't need the flashes. They didn't need to use them. They could use them for a fight like that where they could win, and now they at least claim that Drake. It's an objective bounty going in their favor. They don't have Soul as a threat for another 5 minutes. Oh, and look at what's spawning. It's just slithering up the river. It looks like a Baron's coming their way.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, like, this is just an excellent punish by Team Apex Silver, but we're going back on the picture-in-picture. Already Spirit Charge or Spirit Rush used.
Yeah, but there is no... is Aatrox in this fight? It looks like he's TPing into the mid-wave. He's just going to try and make his way in, as they're actually just going to be able to zone them away. Baron not able to be claimed here by Apex. They know that even despite that fight, that is not a game-winning fight, right? That's a game-saving fight. A very distinct difference. Giving over the Baron for free wouldn't be great either for them, but they do need to be much more careful about what's happening with the mid-waves right now. One already pushing towards about the inhib line. The second one pushing not far behind it. There's two super minions walking the way down mid. Instead, they're just going to go sending it. Go, steals the curse and Sound Mummy and just flies onto the Vessel of Ruin. But he stays alive because Amumu is so damn tanky. And Aatrox in the backline is way too much. Smolder and Seraphine fall seconds apart from each other, and Phantasma had no method of escape. The flash not used once more. This time, surely, the game is done. Jorst going to turn the narrative about his 1v3. He's going to get a kill this time, but unfortunately, that is all there is to be said. Swarm, of course, already using the TP, can't use it a second time, but he can just walk down to mid instead. They don't need the Baron because the waves are already at the Nexus. It is still open from the previous time, and they can just start hitting the ace. More than enough for them to get the game done this time as we send it over to game number 3. This series is going to go the distance. Neither side wants to get eliminated. We now get a best of 1 with 30 bans to see who gets to go through to Aegis playoffs. It has been that close, this series running down to the absolute wire. Any thoughts before we send it to a break?
Okay. The only reason that play happened in mid is because, for whatever reason, we decided Moonstone was the item we needed to build first into... Just 1 second. We needed to buy Moonstone into a Mumu, Leona, Ashe, and also an Ahri mid lane. Why? What? Why? Why is this a thing? Please, God. You surely watch professional play if you're playing competitive, right? You know every single support player here worldwide, doesn't matter what their name is buying Mikhail's versus game. It is impossible to find a game with specifically this comp where the support isn't buying Mikhail's first. Like, that is genuinely criminal. They find the pick onto Seraphine. Of course, you can also argue, oh, Seraphine had flash, could have flashed it. Sure, that could have happened, right? But it didn't. So if you have Mikhail's for it, well, that also doesn't. Or it can't happen to you, your Silas. It can't happen to you, Jax. Can't happen to your Smolder if for whatever reason he doesn't have cleanse, although the cleanse pressure of this game for some reason wasn't really there. But regardless, can we please, as support players, learn when to tech into Mikhail's, because it's so important to this game. You really, I'm curious how much this Moonstone did, because it had to did less, like 2k, and
I hope it did at least 10 to justify it. It has to done at least 10,000 to justify that.
I can't fathom it, but that's okay. Deep breaths, okay? They have a bit of an oopsie. It looked really hard. Like, this Aatrox was completely unanswered this game. And I mean, it's just Smolder damage, right? Like, the Smolder cannot do anything against the Aatrox, especially the amount of times they just let Aatrox into the backline for completely free anyways. Just mistakes by Team Apex Silver, but we are going to go to game 3. Desperado picking up a desperately needed game number 2 there to keep their hopes alive for playoffs.
See you guys then. Welcome back, everyone, to this series between Apex Silver and Desperado Esports, Big and Little. Getting into game number 3 right now, the third and final game of, well, definitely one of these two teams, AML hopes. This is a win or go home game 3 for both of these teams, and as such, we're seeing quite a few changes actually to the bans that we see throughout this series. Apex still going to ban Ambessa on 3, still going to ban Hecarim, but everything else so far new, apart from that Orianna, which comes through late, and as such, Apex going to take the Varus instead.
Yeah, a lot of priority champs being picked here for Team Apex across the board. They picked the Seraphine last game, which, you know, obviously got the Ashe picked away from them, but it will be the Varus. Pretty consistent. Now, granted, I'm not going to lie, maybe not the end-all be-all here. Big and Little still have Sivir in the cards here, which does pretty well, and there it is for Big and Little, so WB. But I think Team Apex overall, like, I think they maybe need a little bit more in the way of doing things, because last game they didn't really get to interact all that much. It was basically the Smolder show, and, well, Smolder didn't even have a chance to get going in that game before it was over. As the Aatrox, well, that is a god slayer, and, well, it's just a little baby dragon. But the Malphite coming through, flexible in the jungle with top lane, of course, usually does go into the jungle, builds like Zeke's Herald, first item, gets the ability, you know, the ultimate ability haste, because of course. So we'll see if that is going into the jungle, but probably will.
We would expect so, but Vessel appears not to play much, if any, at all. It's not the hardest champion to pick up. At the end of the day, it's, you know, you press R, you've done your thing, right? But still, you know, if you haven't played it much in solo queue, you might not be all too happy to play it, as you look like you are fit to burst. Do you want to talk about this Yi a bit?
I do want to talk about the Shi a bit. So we actually saw this come through in NACL. It got a lead early. It built Kraken, Gwynsu's, and then Experimental Hexplate, and then lost the game. It was 5-0 and lost the game. So from the 5-0,
sounds like
it did die. It did die. Okay, I'm not saying he was deathless the whole game, but it did eventually die. The issue when you're playing these kind of style of champions is, A, you have to get a lead. Sorry, hold up, I gotta put that on camera. A, you have to get a lead. Then, you need to not throw the lead. And of course, with the Morgana, you have a lot of CC immunity, which is one of the things Yi does struggle with, is you are very susceptible to getting CC'd, but you now have the Rel counter to, you know, Shattering Strike off the Black Shield. So that is something to be worried of. Although I'm not necessarily sold on the Rel. I think the Rel definitely, like, yes, you get the interaction with the Black Shield, but in reality, like, I'm not a fan. I don't really see what you do this game on the Rel outside of that. But it does give them some combo ability here with the Malphite. You can kind of find those big engage points, and they are bound to happen. Like, they will happen in any game. It doesn't matter. We saw a literal 5-man ultimate combo with, like, an Alistar headbutt with a Malphite ultimate and then a Scion decimating smash on top of it. It was cinema last week in ACL. But something I think is interesting this game, speaking of, is Alistar's not banned, Silas is off the board, and it's great into Sivir and Rel. While yes, they have Morgana.
Any Morgana mid?
We have seen Morganas play mid before. Granted, well, they're going. Oh no, man!
They were so close. It was so close.
No,
we read the Morgana mid and everything.
Please.
And then it's Brawl.
Oh man, Alistar is just so much better this game. Regardless, it's going to be Braum support, so I won't talk about the Alistar point, but. Man.
We'll talk about that later when they lose.
No, probably not. No, probably if they do lose, you know, it'll probably be due to something else other than picking Alistar this game. Would have been great though into their bot lane, but it's going to be the Rumble. So, I mean, very aggressive.
This comp is crazy.
They have a lot of pickability and CC here, but hey,
they took the Malphite into a Rumble.
they did take the Malphite into a Rumble, and they're picking Kayn, who we also actually. Nope, sorry, that was not in ACL. I was about to say there's no way. I don't remember anyone. That was actually my Friday cast. That was Titan Sentinel, and that's a point league, like in 100 point league, so it doesn't matter. The one thing about Kayn is if you're going to play Shadow Kayn in competitive, you either have to be super far ahead, or you need to never get CC'd, which makes Red Kayn better at 99.9999999% of situations, including potentially this one. But I'm a little worried for this Kayn, because I want to see how fast he gets form, because Kayn without form isn't really a champion. That's the caveat about Kayn. The one balancing factor is he doesn't really get to do a whole lot until he gets form. And that requires you to gank a whole bunch. So now, granted,
yeah, I'm looking at like just overall stats here, and it looks like Kayn doesn't necessarily do well into Master Yi either. I don't know if I'm just like missing something here, and how Kayn is able to like synergize their whole comp together, but I have to say I'm not seeing it at all. Vessel of Ruin with a pick straight out of left field here. He likes playing it, so there's that to bear in mind, right? Like the Udyr, it's a comfort champ of his when he's not allowed to play the Hecarim, because clearly he's not allowed to play the Hecarim. He's got 300 games in 3 months. Kayn is his third most played, right? So like, is that the beacon of light that we hold on to here for Desperado in a literal win or go home single best of one?
okay, but on the other side, Swordswalker is just slamming Master Yi after having a, I would argue,
and he's good into Kayn.
okay, well, yeah, but it did early pick the Yi. Okay, it's not like he doesn't really know.
That's what makes the counter pick confuse me even more.
Okay, like he doesn't know what the enemy jungler is this game. Like he assumed it was Malphite, I would imagine, but you're putting your hopes and dreams on the back of a Yi jungle, and I would argue that Swordswalker has had a pretty quiet game. Or quiet series, dare I say, as a jungler overall. I think the Mundo game wasn't necessarily all that bad. Oh, it wasn't the Mundo game. It was, God, what was he playing? It was the Udyr, right?
Vessel was the Udyr.
Oh, Vessel was the Udyr. I'm correct. The Mundo, yeah, the Mundo was kind of quiet. Like, it didn't really get a lot of value, but I feel like neither of our junglers have been giving us a lot of, like, early game value. And now neither of these junglers actually get a whole lot of early game value because they kind of just want to farm. Kayn, of course, will be in lanes much more often for those orbs. To get farmed, that's literally a requirement. We don't want to run back a Spica on Kayn in the LCS, 20-minute form, where they lost the game by that point anyways. So he will be seen in lanes. Whether or not it's useful is going to be up to show. But Team Apex having a bit of CC, not a lot, and not great consistent CC. More, notably looking at the mid lane. I do worry a little bit here for Team Apex because Big and Little, while the Kayn might be a little bit of a question mark, they don't really have a great answer for the Malphites this game. Like, you're kind of just on a hope and a prayer that this Malphite doesn't get value in team fights, but 9 times out of 10, there's always some kind of value.
Yeah, I think is the hope that Rumble just murders him? Like, I feel like the hope has to be that Apex play through topside enough where the Rumble, which into Malphite, Rumble sounds amazing, with all those armor things basically mitigate it. The Rumble doing all of the magic damage, of course. The Malphite feels somewhat nullified as a result. Maybe you put him far enough behind the lane where he doesn't get to have as much impact in the team fights through that. But at the end of the day, if he can press R, he still has the impact, right? And that's kind of the issue that you're talking about. Like, how... I don't know how. How do you stop it? There is no surefire way.
You want to know an insane cook with Big and Little's comp? If they put the Aurora
for the jungle, please.
No. If they put the Aurora actually into the Rumble, it's actually one of Rumble's worst matchups. So they can put Aurora top, and you just put Malphite mid into Morg because is Morgana really solo killing Malphite? Like, can we be honest with ourselves?
It's not going to be as bad as the Rumble, because the Rumble
can't be worse than Rumble. Cannot be worse than Rumble, right? But that also puts your Malphite mid.
Just build AP and hope. I don't know.
I mean, no, you
don't know what's happening here.
Surely, but I think there is potential here for Big and Little. Again, the Aurora shuts down Rumble really hard, but I don't necessarily think they're going to put their Malphite mid. That's just a cook. Like, if I was a coach for Big and Little this game, I'm like, can we send this Malphite mid? Because Aurora literally does make top lane, like, the top lane dominance from Rumble is completely flipped, right? Like, with that Aurora matchup. And you also, unlike Rumble, who's really gankable when he has lane dominance, Aurora is actually not very gankable, right? Especially because we're looking at junglers majority of the time ganking post C6, right? I mean, this game, yeah, but specifically on average, right? Like, majority of junglers are ganking post 6. You have Between Worlds to get yourself out if need be, because you really never need to trade it into the Rumble unless you're solo killing him, which is pretty rare. You're just denying the lane dominance from the Rumble, and then you get to be Aurora regardless, because you can build the same items, and you just get a little bit more XP. So that's cool. Everybody loves that. Again, just a interesting one here, I think, for both teams. I think both junglers, in fact, on a do or die series, picking very unorthodox junglers. But we're going to hit a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back before this game starts.
Welcome back, everyone, to game number 3. It is win or go home time. Win now or forever hold your silence, and it appears that that is a not very fun start to the lane for Goat. Playing the Morgana mid, has got a Ghost, but unfortunately not doing much for him in the early part of the lane phase, getting out-traded very early on here by Use Plan B, who's more than happy to take his advantage where he finds it the rest of the map. Looking relatively little in terms of random champions in random places. We were talking about the potential of moving this Malphite into the mid lane. Has not happened. The Aurora doing very well early, but we're going to see how much it's potentially punished later on as we get Jaust on the Rumble into one of the best Rumble into tank matchups I think you could even possibly ask for, and Goat is also at 200 HP.
Yeah, well, Morgana early game does struggle. You do need points in your W, A, to start wave clearing, and also to actually do damage. Now, granted, the one thing that counters Aurora really hard ends up being champions with line skill shots. We used to see Anivia into it a lot, but that's been kind of moved away from for one reason or another, usually saving the Anivia for the Rise matchup. But Lux is actually one of her hardest matchups, and Morgana definitely not as bad into her as well, because anytime she uses her E, well, it's basically guaranteeing your skill shot to hit. So Use Plan B might have to get a little bit creative here on timings to prevent himself from going down. Much harder for Goat to hit those straight line skill shots, aka the Dark Binding, if he's behind minions though, because they don't go through minions. So will also be Comet here for Phantasma, meaning a big source of their tank killing is Source Walker this game. So we'll see if that pays off. Like I said, last time I saw Master Yi jungle was not that long ago, and it didn't do very well outside of the early game.
Well, that's because he's a solo queue jungler. And that happens with a lot of solo queue junglers, right? We got Marcy in this one, we got a Kayn, both of which I would classify as solo queue junglers. Very strong when you get ahead and you can really scale your own advantage. But in terms of the team dynamic, sometimes a little bit harder to really get the value from a champion like that, as top lane going roughly as expected so far. Jaws not having the best of times in terms of CS. Currently down at about 21, being out-farmed by the Malphite to start this lane off. Not his best time, I'm sure he would agree, but as junglers look for those bases, everyone running out from Apex at the same time, everything a bit stable. Finally, we have a normal early game like game 1 instead of whatever happened in game 2, because that was never to be repeated.
Yeah, interesting is what I have to say. But I'm going to ask you a question. Are you a base skin Rumble enjoyer, or are you a Super Galaxy Rumble enjoyer? They're like, I prefer Super Galaxy Rumble if I'm playing Rumble, but I know it's like you're either one or the other. You're either playing the base skin Rumble skins where it has the base animations, or you're playing Super Galaxy. There's like no in between.
Yeah, I have to admit I am not that deep into top lane where I have specific Rumble skins, but
fair enough.
If I am to play Rumble, it will be the default skin because I refuse to buy skins, and I haven't got down there from the Hextech chest. So I'm a bit more of a by default, the default, I guess. But when did both top laners burn Flash? By the way, I think I missed that.
I'm not sure actually.
It's gone, at any rate. Neither top lane has their Flash anymore.
It probably happened right there, like right before they backed.
It's a little bit off cooldown still. It feels like it's been like 30 seconds ago somehow.
I don't know. I was caught up in the Rumble skin shenanigans, so my fault. I'll log back into the game. My bad. I forgot I'm not allowed to, cast today.
Yeah, no fun things.
It's all Rue today. I'm not allowed to do anything on this cast, but well, Rom will just put up a shield. That's pretty cool. But they will get the wave end, which is the most important part, as they were looking to maybe reset there. But obviously, reset has already come out. But Sivir mana is pretty low here.
Yeah, this is the issue with the Sivir in an early lane phase, as Sourcewalker not quite level 6 just yet. Looking for the lane gank, but it's not there to be given over to him. Nice Dark Binding connects in mid there from Goat as he's looking to make a trade onto use plan B. Electrocute going to be enough to turn that on their back around, but this is the level 6 crab, and we're finally getting a fight in a somewhat semblance of a normal game. Nice crash now, Shattering Strike rather there. Gonna slow things down on the engage, gonna force just a complete disengage from both sides, but the level 6 crab claimed by Sourcewalker means that he is obviously the first to reach that big milestone in the jungle. As such, with Bo3 also helping out, they're going to claim this first Drake, and with the Sivir, as you said before, on incredibly low mana, they look for the base, they take it, and they get a dagger in that base.
Oh, I mean,
I feel
really
like
not a lot of gold, because they had back prior to buy the gold, so
yeah,
not a whole lot of gold left, and I mean, makes sense, I guess. It does hurt, but it is what it is.
There's no way they only had dagger. Am I crazy?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Like 40 CS?
No, they just bought it on this base.
Yeah, but like, there's no way they only had that much money.
I mean, maybe. I mean, she was at 38.
Yeah, I'm going to ask for a very early goal check. My brain is struggling to comprehend this one. It's not even worth it. It's not worth checking. He's got 1,000 in his inventory.
Okay.
It's worth checking. He's got 1,000 in his inventory. I know he just took a plate, but that plate was not worth 1,000 gold.
Maybe he is.
Is he saving for BF?
He'd probably be saving for BF is my.
He's going Yuntal. Interesting. That's the thing I always look for in early Citadels, right? It's, do you go Essence Reaver or do you go Yuntal? With the newer version of Essence Reaver, a lot of people choosing that latter option, but it looks like maybe a deviation here from Loose Cannon, as I'm focusing way too much on this compared to the rest of the game, but there is not much else to focus on right now, right? It's a very chill early game. Goat doing an amazing job in terms of farm in mid right now, sat up at 80. Doing a very good job. Being matched pretty well here by Use Plan B. Everyone else struggling to reach those incredibly high numbers set by the mid lane. Top and bot doing about the same, as that's basically all the difference there is in this game so far. Nothing all too much going in either direction, but it makes sense, right? With the stakes being what they are, with this being a win this game or you're out, lose it, and you are out, it makes sense that we're having maybe a little more chill of an early game.
Yeah, well, Loose Cannon does hit this level 6 there finally, but we'll be the BF back here for sure.
Better be.
Still kind of shot. Oh.
Okay, we finally get some action here. We're going to use Plan B to get out this time, going between worlds. He will escape as Goat, obviously popping the Morgana ulti as well, as that is a Kayn into the fight. Rooted for 3 years, concussively blown on by Helper, stuck on the ground for about 5 seconds, and he's dead. And that is why the solo junglers sometimes struggle when you end up with 5 versus 5. The CC gets chained, and he is just stuck in the grave, forced back to the fountain, and unfortunately that first blood goes against the Braum, at least from the Apex point of view. Not what they would have wanted in terms of who got it, but they're more than happy to take it.
And it is going to be the BF for the Sivir. But to talk about that mid thing again, the biggest thing for Vessel is orbs, right? So there was this was a while ago at this point, but there was a very deep discussion on whether it was worth it dying for orbs. Obviously they're not like super running. Ooh,
okay, sorry, hello, Unstoppable Force. Swarm deciding it's engage time because Vessel turns up to the bot lane. He has his ulti, gonna go sending onto Jawster, who overheats with his W form to try and get the shield to stay alive. He ends up falling at any rate, as it is 4 flashes used between top jungle. Sourcewalker flashing to guarantee he got there in time. No escape there for the Vessel of Ruin. He ends up falling in a 1-for-1, but at least from where he sat, he now has item. Unfortunately for him, Sourcewalker also has item, and he's able to stick around on the Rift, not have his second death of the game already, as both junglers at 10 minutes have item already. That is insane. What is this role? Both mid laners have 100 CS, and we're not even thinking about first item just yet.
Well, I will say, funny, I talked about Kayn dying for orbs, and, well, he did get a kill out of it, so that's nice, but more orbs definitely feels great for him. Also, something for Kayn that's unique into Yi is, should they, for whatever reason, get into a 1v1, Kayn can use the Umbral Trespass to just, you know, go ahead and just chill while the ult runs out from Yi. So that's cool. He can buy himself some time, some of the duration off the yield. But that's like kind of the best it gets, unfortunately for him in that matchup. Now, it comes down to what he can add to his team outside of the Yi matchup. Looking across the board at Big and Little, they don't actually have a good way of dealing with the Yi, right? They are very low CC, which is what exactly what we saw in the NACL match, right? It was a very low CC comp that they picked the Yi into. But
Hold on.
wow.
That's the Glacial Fissure. Helper has used that. Unfortunately, around this Drake, doesn't get much value from it, just gets the crash down out of the Rel, as Starlight is just going to disengage from this one. But with Vessel on the top side, that is still going to be the Drake going over to Apex. So we're going to do second Drake for Grub's trade this time around. That means that both of these early Drakes going over to Apex, they have had the lion's share of the Drakes, it feels like, in this series. Game 2, obviously the large outlier, but Game 1, 4-0 in the Soul. They got the first Drake as well in that Game 2. Now they got the first 2 again. And, well, when they got first 2, they've had a 100% win rate in this series. Smiley face.
That is great stats-based analysis right there. Literally great. If you're not wrong, 100% win rate. I mean, surely they're on par to win this game as well because they have the first 2 Drakes. But
from EU, we value Drake stacking over here.
Big and Little, I mean, they are going to have the Sivir to do a lot of their teamfight damage.
Phasma forced to flash away. Chains Corruption going to go wide, as that is a flash. Magnet Storm engaged there. Starlight going just wide.
Yeah, I mean, also, if the Chains of Corruption had landed, that could have been kill.
Very dangerous.
Very, very dangerous attempt there on Phantasma's life. And hey, we were talking about maybe Phantasma using his flash. Well, he did there. And he lived!
He did!
So, huge. Huge things happening here in AML. Apex, Silver now. Again, with those 2 Drakes, can they put themselves on Soul Point in the coming minutes? 3.5 minutes away to that one. We'll be that Chemtech Soul this game as Starlight misses the Shattering Strike.
Yeah, onto the Braum as well. You want to almost hold that Shattering Strike for when he throws the door up in your face, because that's like the big counter. That's why Rel is sometimes taken into the Braum, right? It's very rare that you get to see Braum taken into a Rel. I think we were talking during draft about different picks that could happen and when. I think Helper maybe missed a trick as we're going to go sending it in between. Weltier goes use plan B. Everyone going to go absolutely flying. Helper running away to stand beside his teammates. He's going to get just out of dodge in time. As that was also Swarm using his ulti as well. Unstoppable Force as the Yi sends it right away to the backline. The Q goes through absolutely everyone, and the fight starts to turn back around. Concussed blows stacking on Swarm. He gets out though just in time, as instead it's going to be Goat that gets the first blood of this fight, using the ulti to get it done, as the Sivir is going to trade himself 1-for-1 with the Braum. Helper going to fall for the loose cannon, as that is going to be a 2-for-1 overall fight. Apex Silver win it just about, and they get to push out these waves as well.
We'll take a look at this. This is just after Swarm hits no one with his ult. Good flash, actually, coming out from Team Apex Silver to not get hit by it, but realistically here, I feel like, I mean, use Plan B has no mana here, Vessel Ruin, like, you're trying so hard to get some gold back, but it just doesn't matter. Big and Little will lose that trade. They lose their bot lane, but it is a kill for the Sivir, and it will be the Storm Razor. I was actually going to mention that. Could be a possibility. Nice movement speed here. Might be some tech.
Hello. We are going in once more. 2v2, just around a mid plant here, with no real repercussions for either side. The damage, not really there, right, between mid laners. The Aurora has some damage at this point in the game, certainly, but the Morgana, not really there for the damage in the first place. Able to provide some CC when these fights come later, but for now, ends up taking the worst of that trade. As we look back down to the bot, I'm very interested to see if Phantasma wants to go on here. Could go for a skill check, see if Loose Cannon can hit the spell shield. Should be done 99 times out of 100, but you never know. Instead, just going to take his aggressive health as a benefit instead and start to push the Sivir out of the lane. We'll do precisely that down the bot lane. As you look back up towards the rest of the map, the Rift Herald has spawned on this top side. Swarm TPing in, going to have that extra HP shield and looking to try and box out everyone else from getting into this fight. Goat are half HP, standing very far forward. The unstoppable force comes through, and that's just way too far forward for that Morgana. The equalizer's quite nice onto the backline as Vessel of Ruin is going to get his knock-up onto 2, as it's also Jorst trying to run away for his life. Magnet Storm is nice onto 3, and this is just a really awkward fight. Jorst overheating, there's absolutely nothing. P&L peel off the Rift Herald because they get 3 kills for it, and they can go straight back to doing the objective.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Morgana getting picked off so early here. Like, Goat just doesn't care, like, at all. I mean, it's really good vision play from Big and Little here. Utilizing the control ward. They didn't know where the Aurora was, so well played. And unfortunately, when Yi is left to his own devices, he just dies. So, Red Kane actually gets quite a bit of value there, sets up a 2-man knock-up there, forcing out some flash away from Joss, so he couldn't flash away there at the end to get any escape or reprieve from the onslaught of Big and Little. But Big and Little fight back here in this game. They might be down the objectives, but they pick up a much-needed teamfight win off of a mistake as Drake spawned in.
Yeah, but they didn't get the objective off the back of it. They wanted to try and get this reset time to fight this Drake. They're here to fight it, so let's see what they can do. Looks like Vessel has got himself his form, at least, which looks very positive. Blue form, but not in time to get towards this Drake. Sourcewalker smiting it away, going for the early retreat. He will be able to get out, and that is now Soul Point on a Chemtech Rift. Maybe not the best of Souls. We feel like we have 3 games of not the best of Souls, but still quite interesting, especially with something like a Morgana. That heal and shield power from the Drakes is interesting to me, at the very least, as Apex, with now 3 Drakes in a row, they have that soul threat for the rest of the game. BNL have to be there on that timer every 5 minutes to fight, otherwise they give over a soul, and, I mean, even the worst of souls is still worth about 3 to 4k in pure stats, as Use Plan B trying to get his way out of the Morgana ulti, using a whole lot there, trying to dash cannon his way out, trying to dash with his W. Neither enough has to go between worlds, but he managed to beat the equalizer as a result.
I mean, you know, I talked about the Aurora being a difficult champion to gank, and we exactly see why right there. Even okay, sorry to cut you off, because Jorst is getting 1v3. That's a Magnet Storm on his face, and they're going to try and get this kill over to the Kane. It's going to take a little bit extra. He has got to pop the ulti. I will trespass invested, but he takes the kill, and I'm sure he'll be saying worth in all chat if he's question marked about that one there. Picks up his 3rd of the game, and out of the 2 solo Q junglers, it seems like he is doing the better right now. Sourcewalker farming up very efficiently, 146 right now after 18.5 minutes. But in terms of overall gold, those 3 kills definitely counting for a little bit more. As on the bot side, this is a very aggressive play for the loose cannon. Claims the bot tier 1 in the process, but is going to get rooted up here by Goat, and that's a kill donated back over to Sourcewalker. So just we're talking about the gold advantage being in Vessel's favor, it turns a little bit back against him. Yeah, I mean, they get a Rift Herald. Should be able to utilize this mid here on the Drake timer to open up mid lane and also put them in an uncomfortable position here, as Team Apex really want to fight for this Drake, right? They want to get the soul because that gives them some much needed stats. Now, I think Chemtech Soul is itself pretty underrated because you do get bonus damage and you take less damage when you're lower HP. And these fights are going to be scrappy because we're playing some crazy drafts here between both comps, so the fights for sure are going to be scrappy, which means the soul actually gets quite a bit of value. Granted, again, you're probably looking at like maybe wanting a Hextech Soul, Cloud Ray, you know, Cloud Soul's pretty good, but at the end of the day, a soul is a soul, still gives you stats, and might be what Apex need to get back a little bit back into this game, because right now Big and Little sitting with a 3,000 gold lead, 3.5k give or take.
Nearly
so.
4. That's a surprising lead. Honestly, I hadn't even noticed, I'll be honest. I was thinking, based off of the game state, it felt pretty even. If anything, it was slightly Apex favored, but these turrets really providing that much value, right? Bot tier 1, top tier 1, both taken out. BNL having that small little advantage. Apart from that, it's literally 1 kill the difference between these 2 teams, and CS feeling pretty similar, apart from apparently Malphite top absolutely destroying Jorst in terms of the early game CS, not having the most fun time in what we said was a pretty dominant lane for the Rumble, not proving to be the case this time around. A Sourcewalker has to be careful because there's a swarm coming his way, flashes over the wall, going to get a charge straight in from that knock up there. Knife fight, going to go sending it, and that's going to be another kill going over to Vessel this time around. Another one with the Humble Trespass. Nothing Sourcewalker can do. 5 people on the top side, only 2 people needed to get that kill. And that is potentially even the Baron being eyed up here for BNL, something that Apex had to be wary of with their jungler being dead for the next 20 seconds or so.
Won't be so, though. They do call their members back. As mid lane tier 1 being harassed a little bit there by Phantasma, but I do think... Oh, here's plan B.
Nice. I mean, that's a crazy route to hit, by the way. On the invisible part of the W, just to predict exactly where she hopped to. He's probably going to get chunked out as we are Flash Magnet storming in. Hello. There is no Humble Trespass to follow up on this play. There is no Unstoppable Force to follow up on this play. Why are we Flash ulting as well when there is no follow-up?
There's not even damage follow-up there. Like, even if there's like no ults, there's literally no damage follow-ups, but nice. It was
5 miles away.
Pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Style points, I suppose.
That was confusing to me. I will be honest.
This is a really bad timing.
We 2 seconds for the Drake fight.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this to ourselves? Do you now have no Magnet Storm for a soul fight? Okay, congratulations, you dropped yourself Rick Herald in mid. You do have the Malphite, he's just going to go flying in once more, but it's not enough to guarantee the kills. I feel like a bit more CC may have turned the tides here. Both Sports going to go falling down early, and Sourcewalker presses Q to stay alive longer. He steals the Drake away. That is the Chemtech Soul in his hands. Jaw's going to win the 1v1 against the Malphite, and Apex have somehow won a crazy fight. It feels like they had absolutely no reason to win a fight like that, but BNL give them everything they could possibly have wanted, and that's now Chemtech Soul claimed. Extra damage when they're low HP, extra healing when they're low HP. Apex, they pull a rabbit out of their hat once more. It feels like game 1 all over again. They just get the soul somehow.
Well. I wonder if there was something we could have utilized in this fight that was used 20 seconds prior.
You talk about the flash of the
close moment. It's such a very close moment here that could have turned the tide. I can't quite put my finger on it, what it could have been, but man, Big and Little with a massive mistake there, just losing out the fight. And Goldswing now is about 3k. They literally lost almost 3k off of the kills alone and the Drake being taken. So really not a great spot. We do have a pause. If we can find out what that's for, I'll let you know. Otherwise, it's just a pause. We got to sit through it. But Apex, again, they do find a miracle almost. And they initially started off, they actually find a great pick on a Phantasma. Goat not able to get the Black Shield off in time. They also get Sourcewalker so incredibly low, but a well-timed Alpha Strike allows him to finish the dragon off before he goes down. And, well, we talked about, pulling bunnies out of a hat. Well, the Aurora is in this game and wasn't able to pull out one in that fight, unfortunately, for Big and Little. But it is doing pretty well. 2-0-5, right? Like that, definitely their best member right now, in my opinion. Did chase away Goat on the Morgana. Almost turned out that kill had the Q landed there, but Aurora will start to fall off a little bit. Maybe not to the comp of Apex, though. That's kind of the thought.
That's the thing, right? It's like, in a normal game, you'd expect that. But in a game such as this, where it is so incredibly squishy for Apex, maybe that comes back a little bit, right? We got probably the tankiest member being the Braum, followed by the Rumble. And when that's the things that we're saying, then you're not very tanky at all. So BNL, they always are going to have a chance in these fights, right? As rough as that one there was to witness from the outside perspective, they're always going to have a chance in these team fights if they play it properly. Their CC is more than enough for their damage to ring true. They just need to layer it properly, and they need to have it off cooldown as well. Not looking anywhere in particular, as this is a good time to take stock of this game state, right? BNL, while they did chuck a good chunk of that lead, it was still a 4-for-3, right? It's like, while they may have had some shutdowns that went across, it's still a 4 for 3. Apex, of course, the soul, the much bigger story of that play, but they haven't got a tier 1 yet on Apex. All 3 of theirs, I believe, are lying in rubble right now. BNL have done a great job of applying pressure early on in this one through all 3 lanes. They claimed all those outer turrets, and that gold advantage is still somewhat there for them, right? Still at 3.6, as I believe the reason for this small little pause here is the fact that GOAT is having some connection issues. So we will hopefully get him back in the server soon, be able to carry on what has been a very interesting series, and yeah, hopefully this doesn't take too much longer. But while we're here, this is a great time to point out how tense this must be feeling for both the players, right? Every single player in this game has to be on like tenterhooks in this 5-minute pause, because they know that one step could cost them a chance at being in the playoffs for AML. It's that cutthroat right now.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, so while, yes, that, you know, for Desperado, they have all of the tier 1s, they've opted for the gold place realistically this game. Whereas you look across the board for, you know, Team Apex, they're opting for the objective play. They now have Soul, and there's really not much else that, you know, Big and Little are going to be able to get without some contests, barring some mistakes from Team Apex, without the Baron, right? So, and getting Baron this game is probably going to take at least 1 or 2 mistakes coming out from Team Apex. So while, yes, Team Apex are down in terms of gold, well, they got the Soul, and now they don't really need to focus around, oh, we have to have priority for these Drakes, right? They can now just start taking towers, right? Like, they're great. They can just start pushing towers now, and then get the gold lead into their pocket, because they still have so much more standing gold that, you know, Desperado don't necessarily have anymore.
Yeah, standing gold definitely in their favor, but I will slightly push back on the can't contest the Drake, can't you think about only Drakes, because when you claim the Soul this early, that means the Elder spawns this early, and that's scary in its own right.
You have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes, you know. So
you have time, right? But like, it's something definitely that's going to be in the back of their mind. Coming about the 28-minute mark, I believe, in this game is when we're going to be having that Elder, and if that ends up being an Elder fight, then if things stay as they are right now, it's honestly going to be one of the messiest but also flippiest fights you could possibly hope for.
The unfortunate bit, by the way, is if it is messy, which it likely is going to be, unless like a Yi or something is staying alive, or a Kane, soloing the Drake is basically impossible, right? Because the fights have been going down to like 1 or 2 members left. Like, they're on super low HP, unless you're just super flipping it. Like, both teams, just 10-man, all decide to hit the Drake and not hit each other and see who wins the smite fight for their chances into the playoffs. That would be pretty unique, you know.
That sounds like fun.
Type in all chat, yeah, guys. This is the plan. 5 minutes, we all go. We all hit the Drake at the same time. Whoever gets Drake wins. GG.
No smites allowed.
But
just see what happens.
No, overall, but like, again, they have 5 minutes to breathe here, and I'm not entirely sure how easy it is for a team to force an Elder immediately, because it is that early Elder, which, yes, while it always is a risk, you put Elder out on the map, pulling Elder early is hard, right? So it takes a while for teams to kill. You look at, you know, they don't necessarily have the greatest DPS on either side. Rumble does pretty good on it. So Yi's going to do great on it. Sivir will do okay. But on that side, it's basically Sivir and Kane. Like, no one else kind of does anything. Like, the Aurora kind of doesn't do great. You want your Aurora kind of trying to poke down members as they try to walk in anyways. And then have your Malphite, of course, doing Malphite things. But I will say that I really worry for Team Big and Little here, because with the gold lead, before the Soul was taken, the fight was messy and they still lost it, right? And then now they have Soul here to even up some of that gold. And a reminder, they had a 6k gold lead before that fight as we're coming back to live. Now it's only about a 4,000 gold lead. And there's still plenty of gold for Team Apex to get here, where Team Big and Little don't really have the best ways of getting more gold outside of mistakes from Team Apex. Drop tempo here around this Baron could be one of those mistakes, though. We'll see what happens here as they're looking to get some vision control around it at the very least.
Yeah, that vision though going to be cleared out here by Apex as they look for a retreat of their own, looking for potentially some bases, potentially some items going to come through soon. Speaking of items, I haven't been able to look at them in the previous 5 minutes, so I'm just having a look right now. Very close to that third item of Magic Pen there for use Plan B. As everyone else kind of approaching that similar marker, right? We've got Jawst on the early Bloodletters, great item on the Rumble, also really good at enabling other AP threats like your Morgana in a game such as this. Everyone else solidly set at that 2-item spike as well, as it feels like in terms of ADC scaling, I'd much rather have a Sivir in this type of a game, right? It's most of the time, I'd much rather have a Sivir, especially against early lethality Varus. That crit scaling that much more excessive, especially on champion that can just bounce crits all over the place. It's bloody annoying to play against, I'll tell you that. As Loose Cannon very close to that third item of, I would assume, an avoid Flicker Blade.
For me, I think like something that's been disappointing is Phantasma on Varus has not really been doing the poke job very well. Now, it's also due in part to like they really haven't been in a position where they're able to poke, right? They haven't really had the positioning or had like yeah, look at the Aurora damage there. Of course, it is the support.
Jesus.
So, you know, also a support with a chain vest, so very little MR here. For this Braum, who.
On a slightly different note, the Braum hasn't chosen the support item that gives you the shield. He's gone for the Solstice Slay instead.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he got such a rough trade there.
No Celestial opposition this game, so.
That's the one. I mean, Rel with Bloodsong, by the way, absolutely crazy work. Just solo Q Leonering it up instead of going for a little more of a tanky build. Has got the Zeeks though, so
who needs it?
I mean, just send it anyway, right?
Okay. Well, think about it, right? Like now we have the Zeke's Herald unlocked. We can flash, engage, and maybe kill someone. Trust.
Yes, we saw them try and do it before.
Trust. We might have the damage now. But now we, look. Game is really slowed down. Now, of course, sieging into Sivir is impossible when their wave clear is so low. They would have to try and force out the Sivir somehow off of the wave or something. Also, poke doesn't really do a whole lot into a Death Stanced Kayn now, which is really annoying to play against this team Apex because, well, Red Kayn constantly heals. So the Death Stance value is like he uses Death Dance so well comparatively to other junglers that might build it. Anytime he does damage, it's Red Kayn, he's just healing. So that's we're going to be really annoying for Team Apex to try and deal with. It also means they might not be able to burst him, right? Like they can't find like a Chains of Corruption one shot into like a Morgana bind. So they will need to proceed cautiously here as now the mission gets cleared out once again, and potential trap being laid around this red buff.
Yeah, Sourcewalker already engaged upon here by the Unstoppable Force, as he is just going to have to ulti himself out there. We'll get down to safety with an Equalizer as well coming in from Jaws. The Dark Binding going just too short, and the escape going to come through from both sides. Only ultimates exchanged, about the perfect time for ultimate exchange for this Elder fight, but as the Baron dance continues as well, both objectives soon to be on the map, and I mean, we could get to the point where you have one fight, you lose one, you lose both. That could be absolutely catastrophic for one side here. The game feels so close to being just randomly decided over a team fight that I feel like it could be like literally on a knife's edge whenever. And sending it on a Baron like this might force something like that. But the TP up to top lane gives the vision. Use Plan B with the accidental vision play, TPing up to top, gets them off the Baron as soon as they start it. And the fight instead going to commence in a slightly different manner. Starlight has already been taken down pretty low, and there's no ulti here for Swarm after using it in the play before. Flashes away from the Between Worlds is going to be running away to the top side. He's down to half HP, no TP to get himself back into this play. Already used the Ghost as well, he has no summoners, and now everyone looks to transition instead from the top side down to this bottom side. Elder's now spawned, but it's so risky to go off spawn.
That teleport coming through from the Rumble. Oh, Helper solo. I think they lose Elder off of this. I don't see a world they're getting in, but they're going to try.
I mean, Rumble has his shield still, right? He still has his shield from TPing back in. That's been pretty quickly eviscerated, but he's just going to go sending it onto the backline. Loose Cannon, the one that's going to fall down instantly. The Yi in the backline is quite nice, but the Morgana's been taken out the front line, and the Braum's also already gone down. Swarm barely hanging on, finally going to go down as it's jungle exchange for potentially jungle, but no, Vessel of Ruin is still going. Jaws is killed on the front line, and that's already a sweep. It's a 5-3, a messy fight indeed, but Vessel hangs on. Vessel survives, and Starlight is there to help him out once more. Chunk down so incredibly low from before the fight even began, but he hangs on, he sticks around, he turns up right at the end, and Vessel is there as well to claim this Elder in B and L's favor. I'm not sure they have the time to go up towards the Baron, but they are just holding on to the Elder for just a little bit more because they want to make sure at least Loose Cannon is going to be able to get this buff. Means they definitely will not be able to go for the Baron on top of this, but they now have Elder on 3 moving into the next 2.5 minutes.
And we're going to get a replay. Look, Swordswalker goes so deep here, does so much damage to Loose Cannon, and they do get it, but look, like I feel like if maybe, you know, we see Rumble just hitting Vessel the entire time he dies, but he actually runs away. Like, again, this is kind of like both teams kind of have had these like shaky team fights where they're kind of all over the place. Thankfully, the Brigade absolutely thrives in those situations, right? So even though things are all over the place, that's exactly where he wants to be, because that means they can't focus him down. So he gets a lot of value with the Red Cane. It's going to be Elder and now Baron here for Team Big and Little, as they, well, I mean, it's the Grand Slam here. Of course, some gold will go back in the pocket of Team Apex, but if you were Desperado Big and Little, you are so happy with this, especially with how close that last fight was before Soul. You know, you're very happy you're able to claim this.
Yeah, they claim the double buffs, which are going to be there for the next minute and a quarter or so for the Elder at least. Of course, Baron lasting for 3. As you say, the bot lane got pushed out there, so he was able to get a little bit of money back in his pocket, but not close to that third item spike of his own, so not as maybe as impactful as what's happening elsewhere. Phantasma has managed to get himself up to a 4th item on this Lethality Varus. This should be the point in the game where he is spiking the hardest. He should be hitting like an absolute truck, but against the Elder, they don't even want to think of risking a fight. The double buff's going to make the push that much more potent, and as such, the top tier 2 has already fallen down. They're not going to go too far. They're not going to over-aggress. Instead, they're just going to take what's given to them. They already got the top tier. They're looking for mid now as well. They're going to break that crystalline overgrowth. The cannon minion Baroned up is going to finish off the tower, and they're going to look for their base. No fight yet offered up against this Elder. It makes a whole lot of sense. That execute way too powerful. 20 seconds left on that buff, but the Baron's still going to be there for another minute and a half even afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff coming out from Desperado Big and Little. They're getting a lot of the standing gold I talked about. You know, they might struggle to get some of these tier 2s. Barring a mistake, well, Team Apex make a massive one. And now they're looking to threaten this bot lane tier 2. You're in the face of Team Apex. All 5 members for Team Apex is here, and all 5 members for Desperado Big and Little are, well, no longer here.
They're going to look on this. Loose Cannon caught out by a Dark Binding. They go flying in, but they don't have quite the range to get onto the Sivir. They go way too deep between bolts. It's beautiful. Chains of Corruption is really nice. So it's trying to turn things back around. Hold on. This fight is not over just yet. The Yi is popping off, and it's the Yi and the Rumble put together. They kill everyone apart from Use Plan B, who finally is going to go down. I thought they'd overextended, but the Chains of Corruption was absolutely huge, and Sourcewalker was completely untouched. The fight swings straight back around, and Apex win a humongous team fight, but there's no objectives on the Rift. Instead, they're just gonna have to go for gold.
This could have gone so much worse, by the way. All that had to happen was Equalizer coming through when Sivir was Dark Binded. That's it. That's all that had to happen, and this is much cleaner. But it's still Team Apex. They find the perfect moment to find the angle, to find the catch. And just like that, we are back in a very close game here. Elder, 2 minutes away now from spawning. Team Apex evening down the gold to about 2,000, 2,500, give or take. So gold is essentially becoming a non-factor thanks to their soul, as Helper will leave the game. Seems like they're having some disconnection issues.
Yes.
Over on Team Apex, but it happens. You know, you can't be perfect. Sorry, I'm like kind of out of camera there. You know, I was getting into the game there for a sec, but we're back. Yeah, overall, like great. I mean, this is so close. Both teams obviously really want it, but it's just really important. Like, it's even a blunder for Sivir to even get caught in that manner. You know, like
with spell shield,
like
to not have spell shield lightning,
right? Like spell shield, yeah. Also, I think maybe you could argue you could go cleanse this game because, like, you're playing into Varus, you're playing into Braum, you're playing into Morgana. You don't get a whole lot of value against Master Yi or Rumble, but what summoner spell are you going that gives you good
barrier?
Like barrier, I guess. Like they do have.
I think that's why they went. Right?
They do have barrier, but like in reality, right? If you get caught once, right, you don't spell shield something correctly, you are basically dead. Because they have so much CC they can follow up with off of one. Again, and not necessarily. And when I say a whole lot of CC, it's not because a lot of members on their team have CC. It's because of the
it's
duration.
Just really
it's the duration of the CCs coming through that makes it really difficult. So I think maybe you could argue to pick cleanse this game. It is kind of like your choice kind of preference. And if you're just kind of the player who's like, yeah, just dodge it for it, then, you know, you're fine.
But, or just spell shield it.
or in this case, just die for it.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate one there in the bot lane, flipping that fight straight back around, as without the Sivir damage, they just didn't have anything to go on, right? I thought they'd gone way too deep to even go for the chase, because I looked at what was coming in, the Between Worlds, Malphite flying in, you think the Rel going to crash down Magnet Storm as well. I thought there was still going to be enough from Big and Little, but clearly, without their Sivir providing that consistent damage onto everyone, it just was not close to being enough in the fight. Now, still a little bit of time away from this Elder. There's enough time, especially with this pause, to recuperate. You know how to have a winning fight. You've proven you can have a winning fight around this objective in particular. What do they need to do right now in these 2 minutes before the Elder to set themselves up for victory?
Well, they got in the towers, right, which actually alleviates a lot of issues. It allows them to push their vision deeper, right? That has not been able to happen a single time this game until now. Also, I think, yes, it's gonna be really hard to get lane priority against the Sivir. Like, that's just kind of out the window. So you might have to overload lane as we're going back to live here. Or you look for maybe a pick. Your comp does really good at finding these picks. And maybe instead of playing these even number fights, which have been very close, right? It basically comes down to one mistake from either side winning the fight for either team. You look for a pick. They have great pick tools here, right? They have the Chains of Corruption, which can be followed up with a Glacial Fissure. Then you get the Concussive Blow stacks. You have Morgana, right? Like, they have so much in the terms of pickability that they really haven't utilized until right there in the bot lane play. That they could have been utilizing maybe a bit earlier, but we're now looking down Elder in a minute here, Rue, as well, Sivir picking up a Vamp Scepter does give her a little bit more survivability here, but not a whole lot, as the GA completed for Phantasma.
That's the difference that I'm looking at right now. I think that going for the Vamp Scepter, looking towards the Bloodthirster, it's a decision that you always have to make as the ADC. Do you go towards the Bloodthirster? Do you go towards the Guardian's Angel? In a situation like this, where you provide so much of your team's damage, I think the GA would personally be my choice. I think a bit more stability, a bit more safety, maybe more guaranteed impact in a fight would be what I would look for, but the decision has been made. Going to go for a bit more sustain, a lot more useful in terms of components while you're building towards that item, right? The Vamp Scepter we talked about earlier in the series, very useful just for the healing that you get, but you don't really get the value as much, or anywhere near as much, until you hit that full Bloodthirster spike, where you get the overheal shield, and it's a bunch more healing as well from your lifesteal. Everyone's set up now around this Elder, as item talk goes out the window, and instead we talk setup for how these two teams want to fight. 5 seconds before the dragon spawns, both teams sort of playing this as they'd want to, right? BNL playing on the vision, playing in the bush, see if anyone wants to step too far forwards. They have the snap engage. They want to go forwards on the perfect timer. Instead, Apex not going to get that over to them, playing slowly, gaining a little bit of vision control at the time, pushing their mid wave, and now setting things up where they can slowly walk down in towards this river. They have everyone in the area to do precisely that. They have 2 GAs as well, Sourcewalker and Phantasma. Both have that Guardian Angel, and now BNL been slightly forced away. The early vision play working incredibly well here for Apex, where they have used most of their wards, as well as a lot of their control wards to get as far as they have. BNL can maybe push their way back in, but they know that one engage at the wrong time could spell the end of AML for them. They have to be almost perfect. If they think a fight is there, they can't just go on a think. They have to go on a no, and instead we're going to go Glacial Fissure in there from Helper. Doesn't find anyone just yet. Said the Dark Binding connect early on to the Rel. Starlight going to be absolutely fine though as he looks for the engage. Can't quite find it. Just going to go extra move speed for now. Instead, the engage going to come through courtesy of the Aurora of all people. Doesn't do much. Instead, they're going to go sending onto the backline. It's not even a chance of working. Just sending the Aurora first. She is not the engage champ that you're looking for. It's a 5-for-1 ace as the sweep is easily done there by the rest of Apex. Sourcewalker completely unopposed, didn't even get close to popping that Guardian Angel, and as a result, the game liked to head their way. Plenty of time on these respawn timers. Helper tanking up the turret, gonna give those minions a little bit of extra health. Of course, no Baron to help with this push. But Apex more than happy to tank these turrets for the minions. Inhib gonna go down, and we are still 20 seconds away from anyone that isn't called Rel from respawning. One Nexus turret gonna fall down instantly. The second one not long for this world. And Apex, when it's mattered most, they came through with 2 absolutely clutch team fights in a row to finish off B&L. They've eliminated them from the AML playoff picture, and they themselves move on as a wild card in what was a enthralling series.
I mean, realistically, it comes down to what is your Aurora doing to force the engage? Like, you have a Malphite. Like, why are we not utilizing the Malphite there as Desperado? But also, Umbral Trespass not pressed in that fight. Obviously, I don't think it makes. Let's get it straight. I don't think it changes anything.
No one's even close to being low.
but again, when you are in a do or die situation like this, where you have to go with everything, and well, Sourcewalker gets it done on the Master Yi, and again, I think a bit of some disrespect coming through across from Desperado kind of puts them in this position. The Varus, they look to try and catch out Varus and Sourcewalker. Doesn't matter because Phantasma flashes away. Shocker. 80 carry with flash up, flashes away, doesn't die to your initial engage because it's just so quick. And you don't buy enough space or time for your Sivir because your Aurora and Malphite go so far ahead of them that they can't even hit. They literally could not hit during that entire phase before the Aurora died. Like, and then it just puts you in a 3v5 and the game is literally over there. There's nothing, it doesn't matter. Like, sure, you might have the gold. Like, if you have 10,000 more gold this game, maybe that's a possibility. But I don't think, I just don't think so. I think Apex find a really good sequence there. Because not only did they find, the clutch back-to-back team fights where they get the pick on Sivir initially in bot lane, they also win, this fight, of course, albeit it was not a close fight. But it's actually the Soul, right? The Soul being as close as it was, and what was a really losing position for them, them being able to get that Soul just gives them so much added strength that allowed them to have those close fights in the first place, to keep giving themselves gold and chipping away at that gold lead over time, that allowed them to be within the realm of a possibility of a comeback, and they complete it in a very clean team fight there at the very end. And get this one finished up 2-1 as they will move on to the playoffs here, Rue. Congratulations to Team Apex Silver, because I was like kind of doubting, I was doubting in that game, especially once Elder and Baron stopped. But I also felt like they didn't really try to force anything with Elder, right? You have great tools to force things, and they just didn't force. In fact, they let the Elder run off, and then Sivir got picked. Like, that's... so...
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was surprised they didn't push on that top tier 2 even more, right? They got the top tier 2 for free, because, there's still like a minute on Elder. You're not going to force anywhere close to that. I expected at that point on the red side to just keep on pushing and hope as DNL as big and little rather you can just keep on going, and then you maybe make it to the end here, break open the base, at least get something on the top side so that when the next Elder spawns, you have that push. Instead, they went for the tier 2s across the board. They went then try and go deeper for a tier 3, and then unfortunately they got caught going too far forward. Loose Cannon, the one caught that time around, and it's just one step too far, and suddenly the whole game flips on its head. Unfortunately, that is all we have coming from DE Big and Little for AML. And that is also all we have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been an amazing series. Thank you for having me as well. I'm not normally here, but thank you for accommodating me. Thank you, Oz, as well, for joining me on the cast. It's been an amazing series to have you alongside for Team Apex Silver make their way through to the AML playoffs as a wild card. We'll have to see if they can pull off a ridiculous upset next week. But for now, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys then.
Bro, just use Zen Market.